department, but for how long? Certainly many of the fans and alumni are on Akers' back right now. But one thing, Mike, we know for sure. A win tonight against the likes of Arkansas could stem some of the tide that Akers is having to deal with right now if he can come up with a victory tonight.
Tim, I think it's obvious talking with Fred Akers in his office yesterday that the Texas head coach has found a way to deal with the distractions he has in his job with the not-too-great record and all the alumni pressure. But, Pat, how about the players? How can they deal with it?
Well, having been through a few of these as a player, I can tell you that teams can react in a lot of different ways. If they don't like the coach or they agree with the media, the guy's history. But in this case, I really think Texas will rally behind Fred Akers. I think that they need this as an emotional boost. They don't have the horses they've had in the past years, and this may actually help them.
Of course, Oklahoma's coming off Texas coming off a devastating loss to Oklahoma. Arkansas is also coming off a loss. That was a stunning upset to Texas Tech.
Well, I can tell you, after talking to them yesterday, the coaching staff and the players are still reeling from that loss. Now they have to come into this stadium. They haven't won here since 1966. So not only will they be fighting an old jinx, they have a lot of pressure now because if they lose this game, they'll be out of the Cotton Bowl race. So I think it's going to be a tough game.
Takes on Arkansas, and it surprises, I'm sure, none of you when we tell you that Fred Akers' job is indeed on the line here in Texas. We took time to talk to all of the principals involved. Akers has enough preference.
Your career was saying you beat them every time. You got a chance to have a perfect record.
Best winning percentage in the Southwest Conference with the exception of one man. Perhaps that's the biggest problem of all. That man's name, Darrell Royal, still a living legend here in Austin, Texas. Bino, you should well know what it's like trying to replace the likes of a Darrell Royal.
That's awfully tough.
Welcome back to Memorial Stadium here in Austin, Texas, where the Longhorns of Texas are preparing to do battle against the Razorbacks from the University of Arkansas. There's Fred Akers and his team preparing to walk onto the field. An interesting storyline with all the controversy. Here sits Akers with a record of 1-0 in the Southwest Conference, a chance to stay in the hunt with Texas A&M, as well as the rest of this Southwest Conference with a victory here tonight. Akers' team has not lost to Arkansas in quite a while. In fact, Arkansas hasn't won since 1966 in this stadium. Coming up, the Hogs and the Longhorns. Mike Patrick and Pat McAnally will have the kickoff when we return.
Here's Ken Hatfield in his third season at Arkansas, 21-7-1. An outstanding record, his 8th year overall, 49-38-2. And the Longhorns getting ready for the kickoff. A lot of pressure on this ball club. Coming in 2-2. If they can win tonight, Pat, they would be 2-0 in the Southwest Conference. And really, that's what counts down here.
It's unbelievable when you go to these different schools. It's really like almost more important than the national championship, getting into that Cotton Bowl. That's critical for them.
Now, what about the jinx factor here? We talk about a jinx. Coaches always say, hey, there's no jinx. We just haven't won here in 20 years. But the players believe it.
Well, you can talk to the Cleveland Browns. I think they won for the first time in about 50 years in Pittsburgh this year, and it does play a factor. And the players are honest about it. When you've lost 12 out of 14 games to a team, as they have, when it starts getting tight, and you know, last couple of years they've really had better teams in Texas, and yet Texas has managed to win a couple of those games. So I think there is a lot of pressure on Arkansas tonight, and they're going to have to overcome their own insecurities.
Arkansas won the toss, deferred their choice until the second half, so they will kick off here in the first half. Kenny Franklin will kick it away to Nelson and Brown. Nelson 32, Laren Brown 84. Nelson averaging more than 20 yards a kick return so far this year. And he's to the near side and will have a crack at the football. 5 yards deep, he'll bring it out. 20, 25, 26-yard line. Kevin Nelson, a 31-yard kick return to start it off. There's Brett Stafford. On his way to a couple of single-season passing records. The backs have had trouble getting yards this year on the ground. We'll see several of them. Metcalf will start tonight. Plenty of talent at wide receiver, though. The interior line has had problems run blocking. Jaton had an excellent game against Oklahoma. 1st and 10, Texas. They'll give it to Metcalf. And Metcalf got maybe a yard and no more. Racked up by David Shell, big number 70. And that Razorback defensive line is small, but they're extremely quick. Jericho is all conference. Linebacker Ricky Williams slowed by an ankle, but watch him. He's a big hitter. The secondary potential there, but it's very, very young. It's going to be 2nd and 9 for Texas. There is Stafford, already halfway to the yardage record in this single season. He's had an excellent season throwing the football, and back to throw his first pass. Wanted to throw the quick screen. Now it goes the other way. It's complete to his fullback, Norris, and Norris shakes one tackle. Finally driven out of bounds. Richard Brothers, the right cornerback, the man that hit him. Stafford with pretty good composure on that. He wanted to go quick to the right, and it was covered well by Arkansas. Found another receiver. There are the stats on Stafford. The 5 touchdowns and 855 yards. A very un-Texas-like passing statistic through 4 games.
Well, the running game has not been working for him. They've been held to under 3 yards a carry, so he's had to pick up the slack as a quarterback with the passing game.
Got 2 wide receivers in there right now, split left and right. And Stafford to throw on 3rd and long. Wants to go over the middle. It's intercepted. Was picked up by Steve Atwater, the safety man. His 2nd interception of the season, and number 6 for Brett Stafford.
Well, Steve Atwater is an unusual free safety. He's 6'4", and he has very good speed. He really is able to cover the entire field. And in this case, he's just going to cover the man-to-man. He's going to cut in front, make a good play, or make the interception. Right there. The receiver's got to come back for that ball. He can't. He's got to run laterally with line of scrimmage. Nice pick by Atwater.
They were throwing for tight end Tim McCray, but Atwater reached in there and picked it off. First and 10, 33-yard line. They'll get inside the 30 as Duncombe, the middle linebacker, makes the tackle on Joe Johnson, the starting left halfback. Greg Thomas is the junior quarterback, now a threat both as a runner and a passer. Behind him in the backfield, Foreman, the leading rusher in a stable of 6 to 8 running backs that we'll see. Sheepbest, a record-setting wide receiver, and that interior line only has 1 senior. That's Parks, an all-conference guard. They'll run the option with Thomas this time. He cuts inside. That's the play that hurt Texas a week ago against Oklahoma. Down to the 26-yard line. Lee Brockman, the strong side linebacker on the tackle. Here's that Texas defense that has had a problem, allowing almost 30 points a game. Runner and Espinoza, the leading tacklers. The linebackers extremely inexperienced. Injuries have made the situation even worse with Duncombe as a true freshman in the middle of the secondary. Braggs moves from corner to safety. They hope to get better run support out of that. 3rd down and 3 for Arkansas. The up man in the eye is Marshall Foreman, second cousin of the former heavyweight champion. And the pitch back comes to Aaron Jackson. The freshman has the first down, driven out of bounds near the 15-yard line. Mike January, the weak side linebacker, made the tackle.
Well, as Mike said earlier, this is where Texas was hurt last week by Oklahoma, around their right side on the option play. They get the ball outside, and they've been able to hook the linebackers. Right here, you'll see there's no defender in the way. Picks up the first down easily. The backers have to get out on that play.
Not one of these linebackers played a down from scrimmage against either Oklahoma or Arkansas a year ago. Inside the 10 this time, and it's Joe Johnson. Brockman had to make the tackle again. And Pat, in a 4-3 defense, the heart of your defense are the linebackers. They have to make tackles.
Well, particularly with the pressure they'll feel on this outside running game with that option. You know, they're going to, if Arkansas can run the ball up the middle like they just did on the previous play, then it's going to put tremendous pressure on those backers. Big matchup is the center on the middle backer, Duncombe, tonight.
Johnson and Jackson are the halfbacks. Instead, they give it to the fullback straight up the middle, Marshall Foreman, and he's down. Touchdown. Marshall Foreman straight up the middle for Arkansas. Braggs had it, but he couldn't hold him out of the end zone.
We're going to see right here, Arkansas is going to take the ball and go right up the gut. They loosened up the defense with a couple of outside plays on that option. They're going to go to Marshall Foreman. He's going to go right up there. Just nobody in the way. He's just got a clear seam. And now it's just a matter of strength. That's excellent running.
Kendall Traynor on for the point after. He is perfect. 19 out of 19 this year. And the Razorbacks strike in a hurry with 11:58 to go first quarter. They're up 7-0.
Conference matchup is being brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. To arrange a thorough test drive, simply phone your nearest BMW dealer.
It's 7-0 Arkansas early first quarter, and there is Foreman, the young man who carried it over. A bull run right up the middle. And Arkansas will kick off again.
The irony there, Mike, is Marshall Foreman is known as the fleet fullback, and Derek Thomas, who's a co-starter, is really the strong runner. So they're moving that ball up the middle with Foreman. What's going to happen when Thomas comes in?
Somebody forgot to tell Foreman he wasn't supposed to do that. Franklin to kick it away. Nelson and Brown are deep. This, a low line drive, will go into the end zone. Nelson, 3 yards deep. 15, 20, 22-yard line, and Texas will have to start from there. Pat, it will be very interesting now as we take a look at the scoring drive. It was all running plays for 33 yards, took only a little over 2 minutes. This is a real challenge for Texas to turn around and come back from this, especially after the thumping they got a week ago from Oklahoma.
Well, this is one team they've managed to get healthy against year after year, though. This is a big rival with Arkansas, and they're going to have to get that passing game going. You know, obviously you can't go ahead and throw a big turnover like that. Right now, I look for him to go up the middle with the running game.
Stafford has got Norris and Metcalf. The running backs in the eye behind him. This is Metcalf on the sweep. Atwater missed it. He's at the 30. Metcalf can fly. And if it's a familiar name, that's because his dad was Terry Metcalf, the great running back in the NFL.
Well, Eric's showing that he's got the bloodlines here. Just a little fake belly, and he's going to pitch outside to Metcalf, and now it's just a matter of speed. Now watch, he's going to break a tackle against a guy that's 6'4" here. A lot bigger, a lot stronger. Now it's just a matter of staying up the sidelines, get as much as he can. Very swift.
Metcalf only averaging 3.5 yards a carry, and this is Tony Jericho.
That's a nose guard all the way downfield.
1st and 10, Texas. They'll give it to the fullback this time, Norris. Norris got maybe a yard, and that's all. Jericho again in on the stop, along with Otis Lloyd, the rover back, and Ricky Williams, who's just a great linebacker, slow diagonally.
Well, one adjustment that the Texas offense has had to make is they have a whole new coaching staff underneath the assistants. They have a new offensive coordinator, and they've tried to install this passing game, and it's really hurt the running game, and I think they're having a little trouble blending the two right now.
Much better pass blocking interior line, but it's come at the expense of some of the run blocking they feel. 2nd and 9. Metcalf spun off one tackle, hit first by David Shell, then stacked up by the rest of the swarming Arkansas defense. And Norris, who is averaging 3.6 yards a carry, only got a couple on that one, and it's going to be 3rd and 6 for Texas. Kevin Nelson will come in at a wide receiver spot. There is Fred Akers' record, and it's hard to understand a man who has won 75% of his games, and everybody says his job is on the line. Even Frank Broyles, who had such a brilliant record at Arkansas, did not win 75% of his games. Metcalf was the man in motion, and Stafford to throw. Under pressure now, he wants to run it. Got the first down across midfield, dive to the 45-yard line. Nice effort by Stafford.
Well, talking to Coach Hatfield yesterday, he told me that one of the big worries is Brett Stafford as a runner. He hurt him last year in 3 or 4 drives, just like this. He'll drop back, there's no one open, and now he's going to, as soon as he has an opening, he takes it. He's an excellent runner. And that's the problem with a quarterback that can run. You spread out that defense, and there's a lot of openings, a lot of seams right up the gut, just like that.
1st and 10, first time Texas has been in Arkansas territory. They'll give it to the fullback. He'll only get about 2 that time. This Darren Norris. Got some hockey scores coming your way on the update. Philadelphia leading Hartford. Washington off to a slow start. 0-0 first period with Buffalo. And look at Pittsburgh. The Penguins are taking on everybody and winning. Ball spotted at the Arkansas 42-yard line. Give Norris 3 on the last carry. Gay and Robertson, 19 and 45 are the wide receivers. They're flanked to the top of your screen. And they'll give it to Metcalf. Tried to spin again, got to the 40. Covered by Steve Atwater, the safety.
Part of the problem Texas will have tonight running against this Arkansas defense is they really play an 8-man front. They're all along there. They stop the run very effectively. And the reason they can do that is they're very confident in their corners, Washington and Brothers. They have 5 picks between them. They're very good man-to-man. Of course, Atwater covering the field as a free safety. So it is tough to run against Arkansas.
Of course, you have seen they've tried to run at them a couple of times. They have a big weight advantage in that line. Arkansas very small, extremely quick. Maybe a little surprising they've been able to get outside. 3rd and 5, Stafford against the 4-man rush. Floats it downfield. This one's complete at the 19-yard line, and he got it to Gabriel Johnson, the split end. It wasn't a picture-perfect pass, but it got it done.
Well, this will show. Stafford doesn't, you don't have to always gain yards as a runner as a quarterback. Right now, he's going to use his ability to scramble and buy some time, and he'll pick up Gabriel Johnson coming across, who does an excellent job. When your quarterback is going laterally, you want to come back across the field and get in a position for him to throw. Actually, this is an excellent pass. He's right on the numbers. But again, it was his versatility as a quarterback that made that play go.
1st and 10 at the Arkansas 19. Gay in motion. Metcalf to the 15-yard line. Once again, it's Atwater coming up from that safety spot. And there is a flag down on the play. Have to admire Fred Akers. The penalty is going to go against Arkansas. As much as he has been asked in the last couple of years, you know, how is it to be under all this much pressure? He just sits there and answers the questions as calmly as he possibly can. Never tried to duck anybody.
Well, he told us it really started way back in the 70s when he took over for Darrell Royal. It's been a difficult situation for him. People forget Darrell Royal.
Red ball, personal foul, wide, half a distance, first down.
The fans here have forgotten that Darrell Royals last year was 5-5-1, and the next year he took them to 11-1 record. So, but people forget that with time.
They forget the 11 and remember the 1.
That's right.
1st and goal, Texas. Metcalf and Norris, the running backs behind Stafford in the eye. Metcalf cuts it back. Touchdown, Texas. Jeff Ward, as Metcalf has 29 yards rushing in the first quarter. Ward is 90 out of 91 career. His only miss was when he slipped on the wet turf. And he's got it dead center.
Eric Metcalf shows how fast.
There are mascots and there are mascots. And that is Beaver, the Longhorn.
Marshall Walker, number 32 in deep receiving.
Glad he's down there and we're up here.
Those are Longhorns. There's no question about it. They don't grow them like that in California.
No, they'd have sprouts on them in California. Texas will kick it away. Ward, that's an amazing statistic. Failing to score for the first time in 40 games. He won the game all by himself a year ago against Arkansas. Had 5 field goals. And he'll kick it to Marshall Foreman, who is deep to receive, averaging 23 yards a kickoff return. Foreman waiting at the goal line. Takes it at the 3. Foreman gets to the 29. There is a flag down on the return. After a 26-yard run back by Foreman, Rusk, one of the backup strong safeties, down to make the tackle on kick coverage. And it's offside on the Longhorns on the kickoff, so the option belongs to Arkansas. That's a play that happens a lot, but isn't called all that much. They'll let you get away with a couple of steps. I think in the last break when I said the score was 7-7, I said timeout on the court. They just started practicing basketball. I don't think they're playing college hoops yet.
You're getting ready. All those jobs you have.
Take a look at the last touchdown run, and this is going to be Metcalf starting in place of the injured Hunter.
One of the keys to running against Arkansas is they are very east-west oriented. They're very quick. They're smaller, as Mike said. So they pursue, and you can cut back against the grain, just like that. They can kick those guys outside, and Metcalf can cut back inside. There'll be some big seams, just like that.
Back to live action, and Arkansas goes with Johnson up the middle. There's a flag down. It's going to be against the Razorbacks. And last drive was a big drive for Texas, especially since Arkansas had scored very quickly off of the turnover. Be very easy to get down. Here's the call.
Holding, offense, still first down.
So a holding call is going to make it 1st and 20. There is the scoring drive, and an impressive one it was of 78 yards. mixed it up very well. And Metcalf, of course, capped it off with a touchdown. 7-7 first quarter. Arkansas now facing 1st and 20. They run the option, and Thomas never had a chance. He's tripped up by Thomas Aldridge, the right end who cut him down. Let's go to Larry Burnett for an update. Second down, and now 21 to go after the loss on the last play for Arkansas. They have the ball at their own 19-yard line. Thomas wants to throw. He's a much better passer than a year ago, and throws complete to his tight end, Theo Young. Senegal makes the tackle coming up from a safety spot. Only the second reception for Young this year. Let's get down to Tim Brando on the sideline.
Mike and Pat, the defensive coaches for Texas, were concerned about their deep safeties and cornerbacks coming up for run support. Stephen Braggs is a cornerback that is converted to weak safety. And in the Texas system, they need the safeties to make a number of tackles tonight.
3rd and 11. And there is a good look at Stephen Braggs. The versatile kid had 15 tackles against Oklahoma. We have a timeout here in Austin, Texas, with 6:05 to go first quarter. It's Texas 7 and Arkansas 7. It's a beautiful night in Austin, Texas, and that's a beautiful sight. The Texas Tower that dominates the skyline on a gorgeous campus. Had a lot of fun just walking around yesterday, didn't we?
Yes, we did. You know, you said earlier, Mike, that that's only the second catch for Theo Young, the tight end. And he started all last year and only had 5 catches. And it seems like their offense either run or go to the wide receivers. It's tough on a tight end.
But in his career, he's averaged better than 18 yards a catch, so he gets a lot out of it. They go to the shotgun for Thomas. Under some pressure, they got him at the 20. And the sack goes to Terry Steelhammer, the senior out of El Paso.
Well, if you're a defensive tackle, I don't think you can have a better name than Steelhammer. And in this case, they go into the shotgun, and he just overpowers. He's double-teamed. He's just going to split him and make the play. That's just excellent. I mean, they double-team him. They're holding him. They almost tackled him, yet he got the quarterback. And he moved to backup position tonight. I guess he wanted to show him he's fired up.
4th and 19. Horn, who leads the nation in punting, gets away a beauty. Metcalf driven back all the way to his 23-yard line. Nice move by Metcalf. And he got to the 39. A 16-yard punt return after a 56-yard kick. Another timeout. First quarter in Austin. 5:18 to go. We're tied at 7. One of the young among the 70,000. She's already learned how to hook 'em horns. 5:18 to go first quarter. And Edwin Simmons is in at the tailback spot, number 33. Quite a story. We'll get to him in 1 second. Hunter is the up man. This is Simmons on the sweep. And they've got him at the line of scrimmage. May even have lost a yard. Wayne Martin, number 83, was the man on the tackle. Simmons is an unbelievable story. As a high school player, he was a man against boys. In his senior year, he gained 2,900 yards, scored 38 touchdowns. That's in 1 year. He is 231 pounds on a 6'4" frame. Had a run-in with the law, missed a couple of games. He's had 3 knee surgeries, and his knees were never hurt. It was a growth problem. He was just getting bigger, quicker than his knees were. And we've got a timeout called by Brett Stafford. Larry Burnett has an update in the studio for us. Larry? Stafford at the sideline talking to the coaching staff. And Texas will be faced with a 2nd and 10 situation. Norris will now check in as back at a fullback. Simmons remains in at the tailback spot.
Well, talking to Edwin yesterday, actually, Mike, he's had 5 knee surgeries, which is just unbelievable. He came in freshman year. He was the highest-rated quarterback in the country. He had a great game against Oklahoma, and they were talking Heisman Trophy. And it's just so frustrating for him. But I know he wants to make the most out of this, the end of his career here, his senior season.
Young man suspended for a couple of games because of a brush with the law. The team asked Fred Akers to let him back on the team. Fred Akers wanted to in the first place. Here comes the blitz. Simmons trying to get outside. Incomplete at the sideline, out of bounds. Almost had Nelson Atwater on the coverage. We talked to Edwin Simmons yesterday and got his reaction about coming back to the team after being suspended. This is a fine young man. Let's hear what he had to say yesterday. Are in there. Stafford with another long roll, almost intercepted by Nathaniel White. They were throwing for Everett Gay, but White caught it out of bounds.
It's going to be tough for him to throw these rollout passes with the out routes because, again, Arkansas moves so well laterally. They're so fast. So I think they're going to have to try to get that ball to the tight end more and some crossing routes.
Alex Waits will have to come in and punt it away. And Shebest, number 25, is deep to receive, standing at his own 16-yard line. Waits averaging 45.1 yards a kick, and he is a bare-footed, left-footed kicker. And that makes them pretty tough to catch. They come down differently. Shebest had to run a long way, took it on in stride, and gets to the 35. .417 to go in the first quarter. We're tied at 7 as Arkansas gets the ball back. ESPN's live presentation of CFA football continues just outside their own 34-yard line, 1st and 10. And Thomas on the option wants to throw. Centers had it and lost it. Donnie Centers, the man with blazing speed, being covered by Jeffries, but Thomas put it right on the numbers, and Centers couldn't hold it.
Well, that's the advantage of having such a strong running attack, why they do so well with the wide receivers. First down, play action pass. Centers is wide open, and he delivers this ball right through the defender's hands, I might add. And he might have been able to turn this up. He might have gone all the way. Very, very fast, as you said, Mike. They need to complete those passes when they throw away their first downs, though, because then it takes them out of their running game.
When he catches the ball, he is averaging 30 yards a reception. Thomas on the option. Back to Johnson. No way. Johnson racked up in the backfield, and it's Gerard Senegal to make the tackle, and that's the way to play the option.
Well, they gambled on that. Texas decided they're going to blitz, and Gerard Senegal is an excellent tackler. He has 26 tackles this year, very fast, and sometimes against that running game, you have to gamble. You have to blitz the secondary guys to take away that option, which they did very effectively there.
So Arkansas, a team that's averaging 374 yards a game on offense, not moving it really well right now against the fired-up Texas defense. 3rd and 15, passing down for Thomas out of the shotgun. Under pressure, they sack him again. And it was Thomas Aldridge from the right end with his second big play in the first quarter. Aldridge with his 3rd sack of the season.
Well, he has 15 pressures to go along with that. He's 4.7. He's very fast for defensive end. But what's the key to this play? You're going to see 3 or 4 of these orange shirts make this tackle. They are all over it. They are fired up on that defensive line. That's the key to this game for them defensively. They have to handle the O-line of Arkansas.
Steve Llewellyn, 93. Ken Hackenmack, 68, also in there. And Horn will punt again to Metcalf. Not a good kick this time. Metcalf with a chance. And fell in Arkansas territory at the 46. One more cut, he's got a chance to go all the way.
I punted a few to his father. I'm telling you, you don't want to hit those low liners against a guy like that.
The hang time on that one, Chuck Creevy tells us, only 3.46 seconds, and it only went 39 yards. Texas is undefeated in the conference, and that separates them only from Texas A&M, a team that won this afternoon. SMU, of course, undefeated, but they are ineligible for the conference championship. Norris and Metcalf, the running backs, this time split by Stafford and Gay in motion. Norris hooked around the leg and dragged down that time by Elbert Crawford. Go to Larry Burnett for a studio update from Bristol. Larry? Miami was supposed to have 8 starters on the sideline tonight. Stafford wants to throw. Pump fake, dumps it off to Norris. Nice move by Norris, and then run over by his own offensive lineman. Cherico in on the tackle, but it was Carter Hill or Blackmar out there.
Well, let's watch
over Norris.
Let's watch all conference. 64, Tony Cherico. He's a nose guard. Remember, he's over the center, and he's going to make this play, which is an outside pass to the fullback. Cuts back, keeps his balance. He is all over the field. He's light for a nose guard, but he's all conference and potential All-America because he has such great movement all over the field.
Center Carter Hill gets half a tackle on that. 3rd and 6. 4-man rush. Dumps it to his tight end, complete to Clark. And Clark has a first down. Otis Lloyd made the stop.
Well, Texas is going to spread out the defense here. They have Metcalf in motion. You can't see it to the left. He spreads out the corner. Same thing to the right. They're going to go right up the middle to the tight end, which is very effective. Again, Arkansas plays a very spread out defense. If you can get up the middle, that's where they're vulnerable. That's an excellent read by the quarterback. That was about his third guy he got down to.
Texas moving the ball very well here in the opening quarter. Stafford is 4 out of 7, 32 yards. Norris, dive play to the 30. Right on top of him, Carl Bradford, number 43, who used to be a tackle. He moved him to end, and he is more effective at that position.
I thought one of the stranger comments I've ever heard from a head coach, Hatfield, said that they really don't want to put too much pressure on Stafford because then he'll run. I mean, so they just want to rush 4 guys. It's kind of weird.
2nd and 7. Arkansas showing blitz. Metcalf. Nowhere to go. David Dudley, number 31, the first man through, crashing from an outside linebacker spot.
Well, it doesn't matter how fast you are in this case. He's going to be hit by 2 or 3 guys. He has nowhere to go. In fact, he tries to cut back. Eric Metcalf again. They're going outside. They just don't have the blocking here. Excellent lateral movement again. They have the field absolutely stopped. He tried to cut back. He had no chance.
Arkansas gambled on that one and won. That is the end of the first quarter in Austin, Texas. Our score, Arkansas 7 and Texas 7. 75 degrees in game time in Austin, Texas, an absolutely perfect Texas evening in the fall, as opposed to what we had to go through in Nebraska last week when winter came early. Stafford on 3rd down, flag down, complete to Gay. Gay at the 16-yard line will check out the penalty. Brothers made the tackle. It looked like it was an early motion against Texas, which would bring back a big play. And it is motion against the Longhorns.
Perfect execution, though. They want to run those patterns right up the gut, right there. Quick, seam passes, and he put it right on the money. Lever Gay. Yeah, he's playing it tight, and even though he's a flanker here, he just nice arm over movement. He just splits that zone right up the middle. Oh, that was... Well, that kills you as a receiver. He did an excellent job, and that's good coaching. They took a flanker, they put him in a tight end, they split the zone quickly with a nice move off the line of scrimmage. All for naught. But, you know, they're still not out of field goal range with Jeff Ward.
That's for sure. And it's 3rd and 17 now for Texas. He can kick him from 65 yards. One remaining back, 3 wide receiver. Want to throw the same pattern. And it's off the fingertips of Metcalf, who came out of the backfield.
Unbelievably, Gay was open to get on this play, too. They split the zone. They go to a shorter man this time, though. It's a tougher throw to Metcalf, but it's the same play. Just one hand. He almost pulled it down. And as we said, here comes Jeff Ward.
It will be a 57-yard attempt. Tried one from 61 yards ago a week ago. Didn't hit it all. Was a yard short. The long of his career is 57. Got a chance. And it's wide.
He had the distance. What a leg.
The young man has a lot of strength, comes off the field shaking his head over the fact that he missed a 57-yard field goal. There aren't too many kickers in the country who would be disappointed with that.
Oh, there's a kick. Will a field goal kicker take on a nose guard? I guess if you can kick 57-yarders, you have a lot of confidence because he'd have to kick him. He couldn't hit him.
14:26 to go in the half. We're still tied in Austin at 7.
Bay on ESPN is being brought to you by Jeep. There's a feeling you can get only
In to watch their Longhorns against the Razorbacks of Arkansas, and they've seen a good one so far. 14:26 to go in the half. We're tied at 7. Stewie. Derek Thomas, number 40, checks in at fullback for the first time, flanking him, Johnson and Jackson. Thomas running the option, gives it off to Derek Thomas, a punishing runner at 223 pounds. Dwayne Duncan, the freshman middle linebacker, made the stop. Take a look at the first quarter statistics. Dominated by Texas, 72 total yards to 22, even though Arkansas got the opening touchdown.
Last week, Texas Tech was able to stop those fullbacks up the middle like Texas just did, and that's the key to stopping this Arkansas offense.
2nd and 7. Thomas gives to the fullback, Derek Thomas again. Stopped this time by Mike January, and the Texas linebackers, that's January number 28, are getting in on more of the action. Some more scores coming your way. The Rangers over the Islanders, always a war. Philadelphia to tie with Hartford. Another tie, first period.
A lot of close games in hockey. Notice that?
Aren't there? Pittsburgh continues to lead. Penguins have shocked everybody. Third down, 4 yards to go, and Greg Thomas wants a timeout to talk about it. Didn't like what he saw as Texas lined up on defense that time. So we have a timeout with 13:17 to go in 7-7 second quarter. Arkansas and Texas, and I think you have to give the credit in the momentum department right now to Texas. They have dominated the ball game after Arkansas opened at 7-0. 3rd and 4 here for the Razorbacks. Out of the flex bone offense. Derek Thomas is the up man. Quarterback Thomas keeps it, gets to the 49-yard line. He will be shy of the first down. Brockman 63 and Duncombe 48 make the tackle.
Well, that's an excellent play by Dwayne Duncombe. Again, he's a true freshman, as you said, and really Texas has a very strong, solid front four. It's the linebackers where they've had their problems. If those guys keep filling the holes like they did on those 3 plays, they'll be able to stop Arkansas.
One of the reasons he's in there is Britt Hager, who has number 60, which was Tommy Novus's number, is injured and can't play. And Arkansas is going for it on 4th and 1. Thomas. He didn't get it. Eric Jeffries, the first man to him, and the Texas defense makes the gamble backfire.
Well, this is a great stand right here by the defense. You're going to see the defensive linemen. Well, you're not going to see them, but they're going to submarine right there. They're underneath. They're going to take away the belly. Then now watch the pursuit. By the time they get Thomas down, they'll be in all 11 of these jerseys around the ball. Right now, Texas is fired up. I think they're really getting behind Akers. They want to show him that they want him to remain as coach.
Stafford brings them out at the Arkansas 49. And Stafford messed up on the toss and then slides forward to the 47. He was trying to get the toss to Edwin Simmons, and for some reason did not throw the ball, just hung on and got what he could.
Texas is showing a lot of emotion on the defense right now. They have the people up front. Those linebackers keep playing like that, they'll do fine. And they have a very good secondary, so if they keep supporting, they'll take away the option. They can stop that fullback game up the middle.
Simmons, the deep man in the eye. The short man is Hunter, number 26. Stafford going deep. Got the man out there, Gabriel Johnson. And a flag goes down as Otis Lloyd throw him out of bounds. There is a flag back at the 45-yard line. Fine throw by Stafford.
Well, there's a couple perfect plays they've executed in the passing game that have been called back by penalties. They're really hurting themselves. Well, that was a tough throw, too.
Here's the call. And it's a clip. A 15-yarder that wipes out a big, big play. Penalties have cost him 2 first downs and 2 big plays.
Number 26, the fullback. Hunter is going to make this clip. And once you go outside, you cannot cut a guy right there. If it's inside the tackle zone, he could have thrown that block. But he hit him behind the knee, outside the tackle, and that is a penalty.
No, in his defense, it looked like Dudley may have turned his back as he was throwing the block.
Moves the line of scrimmage.
All I know is it really hurt the Texas offense. That was a tough throw. He threw it into a 2-cover zone with 2 men there and split it with a perfect throw. All for naught.
2nd and 18 now. Johnson flanked to the near side. Stafford changes the play. Quarterback draw. Midfield to the 47, and he really took a shot from Otis Lloyd, the rover back.
Otis
Kentucky trying to rebound, leading LSU. Another big game in the SEC, very competitive. Nevada-Reno with a win tonight. Mississippi State, a team we will see next week, Saturday night against Auburn. Wake Forest, what has happened to Maryland? Stafford now 3 out of 28 faces of passing down here. On 3rd and 8. Deep sideline again, intercepted out of bounds. It was picked off by Richard Brothers, but he was out of bounds as they were throwing for Robertson.
Really, these are tough throws. You're not going to be able to throw against a too deep zone like this very often. It's double coverage, and he intercepts this ball, but he's definitely out of bounds. But they've got to go up the middle. Even like the quarterback draw the play before gained him 12 yards. Good call. Easy call by the officials. But really, there's no chance to get that pass in. You've got to go in the middle of the field.
No field goal this time. They'll bring on Alex Waits to punt. And there is Brockman going off with that right arm in a sling.
It's another linebacker, Mike.
Check on him as soon as we can. Waits, barefoot left footer. And the officials stop play.
Texas is just being devastated with injuries at the linebacker spot. He was the one experienced player. Now he's hurt.
Brockman, sophomore. And that's always the way it seems to be. You're thin at a position, and that's where you get all the injuries. If you're deep, nobody gets hurt. And it's a delay against Texas. That'll cost them 5.
Well, we do have 2 of the best punters in the country tonight. 49-yard average and 45-yard average right here for Alex Waits.
Waits kicking to Shebest, who's waiting at the 10. Didn't get this one. Shebest trying to make the catch and does a good job, then fumbled, got it back. Dangerous catch. Shebest going at full speed. 36-yard punt to return of 1. Let's go to the sideline and Tim Brando. Tim?
Something to watch for, gentlemen, on this series. Greg Thomas bruised his knee on that last 4th down opportunity for Arkansas. Now he's coming back in. He may be limping on this series. If so, John Bland has already warmed up, is ready to go when Coach Hatfield calls his number, and that number is 16. But watch for Thomas to go up top on this series because of that left knee problem, if necessary.
Johnson, Foreman, and Jackson are the running backs. That's Foreman. Bowling his way out. Stopped by Mike January.
Well, Coach Hatfield said yesterday that Greg Thomas's greatest attribute is his toughness. There's backup quarterback John Bland. But Greg Thomas was unrecruited out of high school. This is the only school that offered him a scholarship, and he's really tough physically. He'll come back from that knee injury.
And the thing that Hatfield really likes about him, he does not allow turnovers to be part of the Arkansas game plan, interceptions or fumbles. This time it's Johnson to the 30. Looks like he has plenty of room for the first down. Duncombe, the middle linebacker, makes the stop, along with John Hagee, the strong side safety.
So the key to running up the middle is taking the tackles out of this 4-man defense, and Steve Llewellyn absolutely gets blown away, and that's with a 1-man block. That's just an excellent block. He can't afford to be taken out by 1 man. If they're going to do it, it's going to have to be a double team where the backers can come in and make the play.
And what it means is on a play like that, the linebackers are vulnerable. 1st and 10, Arkansas. Thomas on the option. 40. 45-yard line. Stephen Braggs made the tackle, tried to strip the football after a 15-yard game for the junior from San Angelo, Texas.
Greg Thomas ran for a lot of yards last year and some touchdowns, and he runs this option well. Fake the belly. Really, he could have pitched or kept this. They had the corner completely all of themselves, and that was the problem Texas had last week. They had no support at all in that play. He could have pitched it. Boy, that's really an option play.
Also last week against Texas Tech, that was a play that Texas Tech did not give them. Full back up the middle, not much.
Well, Tech absolutely stopped their game up the middle, and then they took away the outside, and they had nowhere to go. Arkansas cannot live off their passing game. They use it as a supplement. That's why it's so effective.
Llewellyn made the tackle on that play. It'll be 2nd and 8. Clock ticking down. We still have 9:13 and counting, first half. If you joined us late, Arkansas scored early after intercepting a Texas pass, but it's been all Texas since then. Jackson, stuffed. by Steve Llewellyn. Came through and got him that time. 271-pound sophomore. Jackson, a freshman running back, starting in place of Sammy Van Dyke tonight.
Well, Llewellyn came back well on that. This is his first start. He had 52 tackles last year, 4 sacks, so he played a lot, but this is the first time he's ever really started a game. And certainly this is a great one to do it against Arkansas.
3rd and 7. There's Jackson, the freshman out of Denison, Texas. Arkansas has converted only 1 of 4 third down situations. Thomas under pressure again. Hit just as he threw. Still caught by Shibest. How it got there, I'll never know. But Shibest will catch anything in the area, and credit Thomas for really hanging in there.
James Shibest is a very effective receiver. They say he's not that fast, but he's very good at his pattern and getting rid of defensive backs. That could have been called on him right there. You can't run into the defender. Watch the concentration as he takes his ball. And what you couldn't see there was Greg Thomas got absolutely hammered. How he got that ball there at that distance across the field. Unbelievable.
It was Llewellyn again putting the pressure on him. It's a 1st and 10 Arkansas. Jackson that time to the 40. Hackenback and Llewellyn on the stop. The 2 tackles got there that time.
A lot of times a smart, experienced receiver like Shibest will do exactly that. He'll have a defender man-to-man. He'll just knock him off physically. You don't always have to beat people with speed. Separation to be with your body, not just your quickness.
There's Shibest, who has averaged 21.2 yards a catch, even though he does not have blazing speed. But you see, he does not have a touchdown this year, and he will go to the sideline for this play on 2nd and 8. Foreman, the fullback, breaks it. Gets to the 20-yard line, thrown down by Braggs, but Foreman really cracked it up the middle.
Oh, they just split a seam here with a quick opener to the fullback. I said earlier, Marshall Foreman is very fast. He's almost like a tailback when he's at fullback. Just splits it right through there. Again, no backer support. When there's no backers in the picture, you're going to have a lot of running room as a running back. Braggs has run him down here. It would have been a touchdown. You're not going to make a living when you're having defensive backs running down fullbacks.
Back to live action, fullback again. Foreman to the 17-yard line. Braggs is in on the stop again. Now they moved Braggs to the safety position from a corner because they needed more run support from that spot. The safeties have to make the tackle.
Well, remember, we saw earlier Lee Brockman, the strong linebacker, just was taken out of the game with an injury, and that seems to be right where they're running right now.
There's Braggs out of Killeen, Texas, a senior who is tough and versatile. 2nd and 5. Foreman again. This time not much, as Llewellyn is in there again, along with Aldridge 97. Arkansas, a big part of that flex bone offense is the fullback. If they can establish that, they can really make a move.
Well, they've been making a living for 3 years off Marshall Foreman and Derek Thomas. They've alternated them for 3 years, and it's really remarkable how close they are as far as yardage. They're within 150 yards of each other for 3 years. So they use both their fullbacks very effectively.
Big play here, 3rd and 4. Foreman didn't get it. Texas dug in that time. And on 3rd and 4, Pat, a little odd that you would go back to the same play again.
Well, I think they should have probably run that option to the other side, to the wide side, and pitched the ball. They've had the corner all night. I mean, it seems strange to keep handing the ball and pounding it up the gut. You know, Foreman's had some big plays, but again, they've had some corners that were unbelievable. They can run over.
Although against TCU, he had 9 straight carries in an offensive sequence. So I guess if it's working, go to it. This is Kendall Trainer, who will come on to try a 30-yard field goal. Certainly well within his range. Trying to break the tie. And he booms it, but wide. There is a penalty flag on the field, which was thrown late and thrown back at the 2-yard line. Interesting call here. Maybe 12 men on defense. It is. What a critical mistake that could be.
Give him a first down. Just enough for the first down. Well, they've had some penalties killing tonight.
They certainly have. Last thing Fred Akers needed, wasn't it?
Plus, now the defense has to get reorganized. You know, they did a heck of a job of stopping there. Now they have to get fired up again for a goal line stand. Very tough to recover from that type of penalty.
Well, you're so proud coming off the field after you've stopped them, and now you got to go right back out. And it's a first-and-goal situation for Arkansas at the 7-yard line. Van Dyke and Johnson, the running backs, the halfbacks, and this is Foreman, the fullback. Got to about the 3, really drilled by Stephen Braggs and Tony Griffin. Braggs really popped. Braggs is having quite a game in the secondary, but when your safety's with your leading tackler, you got problems.
Well, that's why they moved him to free safety, because he is such a big hitter. Again, it's just a quick opener. They give the ball to Foreman, right up the gut. Now watch Braggs. Oh, their secondary can really pop people.
Texas has redshirt freshman Bobby Rhodes, number 67, in there at a linebacker. This is Van Dyke, and Van Dyke is nailed at the 2. He was stopped by Braggs again, and John Hankey, number 17. So Texas really showing a lot on this defensive stand, and it's 3rd and goal. Ken Hatfield talking to Shebest. And they send in the play to Thomas.
It's a nice time to fake to your fullback, carry that option. The quarterback just takes right in the end zone. It's effective a lot of times.
Johnson, touchdown. Fifth rushing touchdown of the year for Johnson.
Now, you're only going to stop Arkansas's running game so many times. They just ran a little counter play right to the outside after faking to the fullback. They drew everybody to the right. Easy touchdown.
Trainer with a point after he's got this one. And Arkansas has regained the lead with 4:21 to go first half. The Razorbacks 14, the Longhorns 7.
Beckett talks about the importance of education.
Well, I sincerely feel that keeping my priorities of academics, athletics, and the social life in a clear, proper perspective and focusing in on those priorities in exactly that order has been instrumental in completing my undergraduate studies in 3 years. And now I look forward to the big challenge of continuing to combine a football career with the pursuit of a law degree in my final 2 years of college eligibility.
Arkansas scores to make it 14-7 with 4:21 to go in the first half. Really the first time that they have been able to move the ball that well against the Texas defense, but they got a chance to do it because of 12 men on the field after the missed field goal.
And that's what's deceptive about statistics. That should have been a turnover. They had the ball and missed the field goal. It should have been Texas' ball, but it won't go down as a turnover. Just a touchdown.
Laren Brown and Nelson deep to receive Kenny Franklin's kickoff. Nelson far side takes it on the bounce. Got to pick it up. And he's tripped shy of the 15-yard line. And it was Reggie Hall down to make the tackle for Arkansas.
Now, what's interesting about this touchdown we just saw, it's not that it's so exciting, a 2-yard touchdown, it's that you will not see a linebacker in this picture. They just take down the defensive line, and up comes a safety man to make the tackle. And they're not going to be able to stop Arkansas. The backers are just being taken out. But Akers wasn't too happy about that one. They're going to have to get better pursuit and better action from their backers if they're going to stop that running game.
Metcalf is back in there at a running back, number 2. The young man that scored the Texas touchdown. He's in there with 34, Darren Norris, behind Brett Stafford. Metcalf got to the 15 and no more. It's a gain of only 2. Larry Burnett has a scoreboard update for us for Bristol. Rolling. Doesn't Cincinnati play a brutal schedule every year?
Almost got Penn State last week, though.
2nd and 8. Metcalf again, short side. Maybe got 3. Covered up Albert Harris on the tackle over there. It'll bring up 3rd and 5. Arkansas that time really showed what it can do out of that flex bone with 82 yards and a 14-play drive. But again, they had the chance to score the touchdown because of a penalty on Texas on a 4th down missed field goal. 3rd and 5, and we're approaching the 3-minute mark. Quarterback draw, Stafford. First down and more. Out of bounds at the 28-yard line. And it was Dudley taking him out of bounds over there. Norris threw a good block for him on the quarterback draw.
Well, one thing you hate as a coach is one thing. You go into a game, you want to stop a guy. You want to stop Stafford from running. That's their goal going into this game. Stafford just runs a draw. This is twice how they run it very effectively. And there's just no one there. Easy first down for him.
4 carries, 39 yards for Brett Stafford. 4 passes out of 9 attempts, 31 and a touchdown. Stafford, quick screen. Gay driven out of bounds. Let's go to Tim Brando at the sideline with a special guest. Tim?
You're talking about a living legend when you talk about Darrell Royal. Very, very well. And that 69 game, many believe, is the best game ever played in college football.
Well, it was an exciting contest because of falling behind by 14 points and then coming back. I've always said we didn't play all that well. We were lucky to win that ball game.
And, of course, with what's going on now between this Texas and Arkansas series, and specifically with Coach Akers, it's difficult to replace a legend like Darrell Royal. You set some high standards here.
Well, he's doing all right. He's winning at fast enough clip. No, I don't feel that way about it. You know, this Texas-Arkansas series seems to always be turned around with a crucial penalty. I remember a game we lost here. We drew a penalty on 4th down, and they picked up a first down bite and took it in for the winning touchdown, just like here when we had 12. They missed their field goal. We had 12 people on the field. Seems like all these crucial contests have been turned around by a key mistake in the penalty area, and it looks like tonight's no different than all the others.
All right, Darrell, thank you for joining us here.
3rd and 2, big play. Texas on the toss to Metcalf, cuts it back. He's got the first down if they give him his forward motion to the 39.
Well,
and it is a first down.
Nice of him to give a vote of confidence to Coach Akers. And it is difficult to replace a legend. No question about that.
And he was that.
Still is. They love the
Yep.
man. Like Woody Hayes is still incredibly popular in Ohio. He's one of the most desired speakers. Coaches don't die.
No, they don't.
The legends just grow.
Simmons and Harris, now the running back. Simmons 33, and they're for Metcalf. Time becoming a factor, 1:45 to go in the half. Texas trying to tie it up. Stafford, quick toss, great pass to Everett Gay, and a fine catch. Atwater had to bring him down, but it's another Texas first down. And Pat, you said they needed to throw it over the middle.
This is the same play again. They brought the flanker in, Everett Gay. They put him at slot, at tight end. He's just going to split the zone, and this is a perfect throw. But this is a gutsy catch. He knows he's going to get hammered by the safety. That's what you need to do. Split that seam, and it's very effective when you bring someone as fast as a flanker in because he doesn't get held up at the line of scrimmage, and he has the speed to get behind the backers.
Clock running, 1:21 to go. First half. Texas with 1 timeout remaining. Stafford out there all by himself, throws, and it's incomplete. Tried to hit Robertson, but the pass was short. Pretty good coverage by Washington out there. Stafford now 6 out of 12, 64 yards, has 1 touchdown, but it stops the clock with 1:09 to go.
Well, that was an effective play. It's called a naked. What you want to do is with a team like Arkansas who pursues so strong, so fast, you want to get everyone flowing to the left, to the opposite side, and roll back, and you have the option to either run or throw the ball. Unfortunately, he threw that into the ground. He had a receiver open.
Pretty well diagnosed by Arkansas. Carl Bradford, the defensive end, who stayed where he was supposed to. 2nd and 10, rather. Another quarterback draw. And got about 6 of it to the 30. Albert Harris on the tackle. The freshman out of Browns Mills, North Dakota. Texas uses a timeout. And coming up at halftime, Larry Ambino with scores and highlights of other games. Plus, we'll take a look at Holy Cross star Gordy Lockbaum, who excels on offense and defense. Don't find many of those. Interesting story, too. And Holy Cross with a big win today. 58 seconds left, 3rd and 4, Texas. Norris, the lone remaining back. Blitz. Stafford completes it, got it to Metcalf. Metcalf fumbled but got out of bounds at the 20. Atwater was chasing him, but they hit Metcalf. They put him out on a wing and ran him over the middle.
That's an excellent read by Brett Stafford.
Metcalf running out of bounds.
Yeah. You'll see the blitz on this. He'll drop back. And he's able to just dump the ball to Metcalf, who's very quick. Again, he's running laterally right here. He'll beat the defender. It's man-to-man coverage. Stafford just throws a nice pass right over the backer. Metcalf just dealed. Got hit there. He got very fortunate, but he still picked up the first down. But that's an excellent job by both the receiver and the quarterback adjusting to the blitz.
50 seconds left. First down, Texas. Stafford wants it all and overthrows Kevin Nelson. Nelson appeared to have a step on his man. Bradford was chasing him out there.
Now, this is almost identical to a play earlier when he was able to complete this pass. He rolls out, he buys himself a lot of time here, and he throws against the grain. It's just too deep. He had the receiver open. He ran out of room with that end zone. Oh, he thought he had a touchdown there.
Nelson had 2 steps on Richard Brothers. Stafford now 7 out of 14, 73 yards in the touchdown. And Fred Akers would love to have his team tie it up going in at the half. 41 seconds left. Metcalf is on a wing. They like to throw to him. For Metcalf, almost intercepted. Almost picked off by Atwater. But they were throwing for Metcalf.
Well, when you've got the end zone as a helping you as a defender here as a safety, it's much tougher to beat this zone. Now they have a 3 deep. They have Atwater right in the middle of the field. You know, just cover as a safety, and there's just not enough room to get this ball in. You can't throw the ball that type of seam pattern when they have the goal line at their backs. So they just sit back and take it away, which Atwater did a good job of. He has great range at 6'4".
Now Stafford wanted a timeout, but Texas doesn't have any left. I said earlier he had thrown for a touchdown. The one on the statistic was the interception. Dumps it over the middle. Metcalf to the 4. It's a first down, and that'll stop the clock while they move the chains. Washington had to make the tackle.
Well, they've managed to catch Arkansas in a couple of man-to-man coverages here.
And we've got an injury. And it is Metcalf, the man who made the big play. See Texas with no timeouts left and 18 seconds on the clock, and the Texas training staff attending to Metcalf. We'll check that out for you in just a moment. Right now, timeout with Arkansas leading by a touchdown. Eric Metcalf walking off the field under his own steam, shaken up on the tackle. Arkansas wants a timeout with 18 seconds to go, and Texas having a first and goal on the 5.
Well, that's the value of having someone like Eric Metcalf coming out of your backfield as a receiver. He's such a quick receiver out of the backfield as a halfback, and he gets in a man-to-man situation like that, and he's going to beat the guy across the middle.
I think you'll be able to see where Metcalf gets hurt on the tackle by Charles Washington.
Well, here's the play right here. Again, they have Metcalf's in a man-to-man coverage. Stafford has all day on this pass, and you can see how wide open he is. And then it's just a matter of he's going to get hit here. It's really difficult to see where he got hurt, but he's got to start holding on to the ball better. He's given it up a couple times on those 2 plays.
Fred Akers talking to the officials on the sideline, not exactly sure why. And Stafford in the huddle, pointing out to his tight end, Steve Clark.
Well, they haven't really been able to put much pressure on Brett Stafford today, and when they have, he's been able to roll out of it, or he's been able to run very effectively.
And we understand that Fred Akers feels there ought to be more time on the clock because they should have stopped it with Metcalf's injury, and he is certainly right about that. With an injury, the clock is supposed to stop. Tie it up. And 70,000 are on their feet. Stafford on the naked reverse and batted down. A flag goes down. The pass intended for McCray. Charles Washington, number 4, made the defensive play, but the official threw the flag on top of it. And it's interference against Arkansas.
Well, they run the naked again, and it's an excellent job by the defense. He's got a man on the quarterback, which is perfect. Then he put his left arm right on the receiver, which is a penalty. He knocked it down clean with his right hand. His left hand was a penalty. I know he thinks he's got a touchdown right here. And then he makes the call. Good quarterbacks do that.
First and goal from the 2. Simmons. Touchdown, Texas.
Big gamble right there with the running play.
What an emotional play that had to be for Edwin Simmons. His first touchdown of the season. A young man who was allowed to come back to the team after being suspended. Very grateful to his teammates and Fred Akers, and he wants to play well so badly.
Well, he really reminds me of Chuck Muncie. I mean, you don't see running backs who are 6'4", 235 that run like he does. That was a big gamble by the coaching staff, but he got it in for him.
The gamble because they did not have a timeout left, and the clock right now showing 11 seconds. They might not have been able to get another play off.
No, had he not scored, that would have been it. They would never have been able to get it going.
And we have another injury on the field. It looks like Carter Hill, the starting center. And his backup, Alan Champagne, has had a nerve problem in his neck. But Champagne may have to come in here and play for Hill. Boy, and Hill looks like he's in some pain. And I tell you what, they're playing on artificial turf. That is not mud or anything else. It comes from contact. But right now, we're locked up in a dandy from Austin. 14-14 first half. 11 seconds to go. And there's the squib kick taken by one of the up men at the 25. Good field position at the 39, but there's only 5 seconds left. McAdoo, the linebacker, down on the tackle as Tony Holmes, backup running back, took the kick. Texas really showed something there with an 87-yard drive, 14 plays, and Simmons capped it off.
Most of the damage was done through the air. Very uncharacteristic of Texas teams. They hit Metcalf a couple times.
Although with that new offensive coordinator, Dwayne Painter, that they got from Georgia Tech.
I think with Stafford, too, as an experienced quarterback, he's able to implement that offense in the first year.
See what Greg Thomas will do with 5 seconds left. And they'll run it straight up the middle. And run out the clock. Derek Thomas tackled by Braggs. And that is the end of the first half. Texas has come back twice to tie Arkansas. First at 7-7, now at 14-14. From
tonight, a 6-0 record.
It's interesting, Arkansas, which has a devastating type of passing attack, only has 22 yards in the first half. And the Texas defense really has done a good job against that flexbone offense, Pat.
Oh, when you think about it, they have 2 touchdowns, and they really scored them both after turnovers. The 1 interception, and as we said earlier, they missed a field goal. They had 12 men on the field, so that's just like a turnover, and they scored after that. Very impressed with the way the Texas front 4 is playing right now. They've really contained the run. 99 yards is not a lot for Arkansas in a half. And they're putting enough pressure on the passer that the passing game isn't working.
I think the 2 biggest plays were the interception and the penalty. And moon over Austin.
Pretty.
Not exactly moon over Miami, but it'll work.
One other thing that Texas has been able to do is, going into the game, they were only averaging 2.9 a carry on their runs, and they're really they're right near a 4.0 tonight, and that's really important. You can pick up 4 or 5 yards in that first down. It really takes the pressure off Stafford, their quarterback.
Arkansas will get the ball starting the second half.
That's what we expected, though. These games are always close. These two play each other tough every year. And right now, I really think in their hearts, Arkansas is a little worried. I mean, you know, they come in here again. They're really favored over this Texas squad, and I think Texas is gaining momentum, particularly with that touchdown at the end of the half.
There's Marshall Foreman. The single deep man standing at his 2-yard line. Ward will kick it off. Foreman averaging 23 yards a return. It's amazing. Ward kicks the ball just about as far with 2 two steps as a field goal kicker as he does with a good run as a kickoff man. Arkansas has not won here since 1966. Foreman pinched into the corner at the 3.
Marshall Foreman, number 32.
Dives over the 30. Gets to the 32-yard line. Here's the way Arkansas carried the ball in the first half. The first time they got their hands on the ball after the interception, it was a 33-yard drive for a touchdown. Then the next 3 possessions, they were hung up. And on that third one, they were stopped on downs, Gamble at midfield. Then they had a touchdown on their best drive of the first half, and then the half ended with them in possession the next time. They'll run the fullback again up the middle, this time stopped by Brian Espinoza, number 94.
Well, it was very unusual. Texas stopped them twice on 4th downs, even though they ultimately did score the second time, and got to hand it again to that front 4. Arkansas does not get stopped in the running game very often.
Make it 2nd and 9 as Foreman gained only a yard that time. He's carried 10 times for 48 yards and a touchdown in the ballgame. One thing Arkansas likes to do on offense is establish that fullback. Thomas on the option, and he is dropped at the 25-yard line by Thomas Aldridge, 97. Very, very quick defensive end.
Well, this is the 3rd play he's made in their backfield tonight. He's very quick. 4-7 as a defensive end. Very unusual. He gets penetration right here. He'll just split the blockers and make the play. Really takes both the pitch man. He took that away, and he took the quarterback right down. The key for this Texas defense are those defensive ends, Browner and Aldridge. If they're quick, they get up the field, they get penetration. It takes a lot of pressure off the tackles and the backers.
Here's what happens to a wishbone team they don't like to see. They go into a 3rd and 14 situation, but Thomas, a much more effective passer this year. Dumps it short sideline, complete. Got it out there to Johnson, but Hagee makes the tackle well short of a first down. And Texas gets a nice hand from the home crowd here in Austin as they have held on defense again.
Well, it's a good pass rush right there. Made him dump it to the short man. No chance for the first down.
Greg Horn, well below his NCAA #1 average of 49.7. That's Metcalf, the deep man, who has had a big game tonight as a starter. Not a good kick by Horn again, and Metcalf on the bounce. The flag is down as Metcalf gets to the 40-yard line.
He is so quick.
That one had a hang time of only 2.5 seconds, a 41-yard kick, and that is not the Greg Horn that they are used to seeing here. And the call is going to be a clip against Arkansas, so instead of having it at the 40, they're going to be back inside the 25.
I felt young again yesterday. Greg Horn came up to me. He's averaging 49.7, leading the country, and he's asking me how to punt. That was...
Yeah, you see the result
Obviously,
tonight?
I'm not a coach. My future special teams coach is down the drain.
His average has gone down 10 yards just after a conversation with him.
And they're low.
Let alone tips.
Flipping, receiving team on the run back, first down.
One of the little horns. Texas 1st and 10. The ball spotted at the 20. Norris 34 and Edwin Simmons 33, the running backs behind Stafford. Simmons gets a couple. Let's check in with Larry Burnett for another scoreboard update. Larry?
All right, it's turning into a rout at Purdue. Boilermakers are trying to make a game of it in the 3rd quarter against Ohio State. But Doug Downing's pass is intercepted by David Brown. That's not bad enough. Look at Brown. He takes it 4 yards deep in the end zone, has a convoy going up across midfield. He's going 104 yards on the return. They call it 100. Anyway, it's the longest in Ohio State history, and the Buckeyes are leading 29-3.
Thank you, Larry. Been a tough year for the Boilermakers. 2nd and 8. Simmons trying to cut it back. Nowhere to go. And they'll bury him in the backfield. Darren Norris, number 34. If Norris had taken the man outside on the sweep, Simmons would have had room to run, but for some reason he went inside and left Simmons all alone.
Well, it's not often you get a running back loses 8 yards and breaks about 10 tackles. Looks like he's going to cut inside right there. He cuts out. He breaks that tackle easily. 6'4". He's very strong, but there's just nowhere to go. Now he puts a nice move here, but there's 6'7" guys. It took 10 seconds to lose 8 yards on that play.
Simmons paid for it. 3rd and 16. Stafford hitting 50% of his passes. Has 90 yards and an interception. 3-man rush. Deep over the middle again and broken up. They were throwing for Johnson, and Atwater really got the shot on him. And when the ball hangs up there that long, the receiver knows he's in trouble.
Well, they're going back to this play too often here. Arkansas has changed their defensive strategy. They're going to a 3 deep now. They have a middle safety. Atwater is waiting for these balls deep into the post, and he's going to either take a receiver's head off or he's going to intercept the next one. Earlier, they were going with the 2 deep safety splitting, and it was easy to go up the middle. They're going to have to start going with the outside routes now.
Waits has not had a great night punting either. He's back to kick to Shebest. High snap, got it down. End over end. Shebest hustling after it, can't get to it. And it will be down by Texas at the 45-yard line. Timeout, 11:10 to go in the quarter. We're tied at 14. Texas, the Longhorns and the Razorbacks at 14 apiece. Mike Patrick, Pat McAnally, and Tim Brando, glad you could be with us on a Saturday night for CFA football on ESPN.
I think Arkansas is going to have to start going with some play-action plays on these first downs instead of running every time.
And Thomas does just that. Fires deep over the middle, tried to hit Shebest, covered by Jeffries, and the flag is down. And Jeffries obviously had contact with Shebest on the play. On the pass, it was overthrown.
Well, they ran the right play there, and really that shouldn't have been interference because Jeffries shouldn't have interfered because the ball was about 20 feet over the receiver's head. There's no way it was going to be caught.
Regard the flag, uncatchable pass.
Exactly what you said, Mr. Analyst. The ball was overthrown, and I don't like that rule. I think if there is contact, whether the ball is catchable or not, I think it makes it a judgment call. Why give him another judgment call?
Well, let's watch Shebest on this play. Again, he's very good at man-to-man coverage, beating it. But Jeffries is going to play him real tight here. And he cuts inside, and this ball's real high. It's not catchable. Of course, any receiver with our egos, we always thought we could pull him down. But that's a good call by the referee. But that's a good move by Arkansas to put that ball up on first down.
Wasn't a lot of contact on the play either. Thomas to throw again, this time on second down. Got his tight end, Theo Young. And it's enough for a first down. Senegal had to make the tackle. They worked a lot on passing in the spring this year, something they had not done the year before when Thomas was going to be their quarterback.
Well, let's watch this defensive line to see if they're going to be able to put enough pressure on him right here. Espinoza, number 94, right in the screen. They're going to run a stunt. The one guy goes inside. Here comes the backer. Ineffectively, they don't get to him. He throws the ball. And Theo Young, wide open again. You know, they call him the best wide receiver they've ever had a tight end. He only has 3 catches this year.
Thomas now passing 4 out of 6, 46 yards. And they'll go back to the ground game with the big center, Derek Thomas. And Thomas just bulls his way to the 32-yard line with Mike January getting a free ride.
The problem with this...
Let's get out to Tim Brando on the sideline.
There have been a number of injuries in this game for Texas in their backs. Eric Metcalf, of course, was hurt. Now they're working on Edwin Simmons right now, his right ankle, and it seems a bit tentative right now, and there is a severe question as to whether or not Edwin will be able to return to this game.
Thanks, Tim. And there's a young man who has had his share of injuries and a lot more. Van Dyke gets across the 30 to maybe the 20.
I was going to say earlier, the problem with that stunt we saw in the replay was that the linebackers are not coordinated with those front 4. They haven't played. They're very young. And the guy came much too late. The backer came late, and he was easily picked up by the offensive line. So that timing between the defensive line and the backers just isn't there for Texas. Those stunts are very intricate, and they have to be done quickly.
3rd down, 2 yards to go. The up man in the wishbone is Thomas. Derek Thomas. And he'll get the ball. And he's very close to first down territory. And where they're marking it, he appears to have it by at least a half a yard. Steelhammer on the tackle. There is Simmons, and they've got the ice pack on it. Young man has had how many knee operations?
5 knee operations. Now he has an ankle. It's really sad. He's so fired up for this game. He's worked so hard to come back from so many injuries, and he gets another one the first night back.
He got the touchdown in the first half. It is a first down for Arkansas on the march. Johnson wrapped up at the 16-yard line. Braggs makes a head-high tackle, and it looked like he got a piece of the face man. Joe Johnson just burst through the middle on that play.
Well, there are plays when there's just no defensive lineman near it.
And it is the face mask.
A couple of those options they ran wide, a couple of the quick openers they had with Foreman in the first half, and here Johnson just takes the ball. There's just no one in front of him.
Face mask, 5 yards. It's first down.
Well, this is a pretty vicious face mask here. I don't know how they only figured it was a 5-yarder. Just no problem here as far as the hole goes, and he is grabbed, and he's really pulled down. That's more than a 5-yarder to me. I don't know if he get any more flagrant than that. He almost ripped his head off.
First and 10, Razorbacks at the Texas 11. We get to the 9 with Thomas straight up the middle. Senior, 223 pounds, stopped by David McAdoo, another new linebacker in there for Texas, number 62. McAdoo, a redshirt freshman out of Plainview, Texas. Going to have teenagers at linebacker shortly.
Well, these guys are. They're true freshmen, a couple of them.
I mean, you're going to have 15-year-olds in
high school.
Fred Akers has really suffered with injuries at linebacker. Johnson, touchdown, Arkansas. In a 43 defense, the linebackers have to make tackles, and they're not there very often.
They just split Llewellyn and Aldridge. It's an easy score.
This is Kendall Trainer for the point after, and he's got it. And Arkansas goes back on top for the 3rd time in the ballgame.
Yeah, let's see what it would look like if we were playing linebacker. They don't have anybody doing it right now. They just split the defensive line, and again, that's all they have to do. If they beat the linemen, and they can't do it all themselves, there's just no one left to make the tackle. You know, I asked him yesterday, well, what do you do? How are you going to protect yourself if the backers don't have time? He says we just got to get them in the game and let them play.
Timeout with 8:05 to go in the quarter. Arkansas up by a touchdown. Kenny Franklin will kick it away as Arkansas has taken a 21-14 lead here in the 3rd quarter. There is Franklin. You get more barefoot kickers down here.
They're not going to get them up in Green Bay, I can tell you that much. I could never kick a ball barefooted. It hurts.
Dangerous receive for Texas. Nelson and Brown, and it's to Nelson's side, but it will go out of bounds, and that will cost Arkansas 5 yards. Arkansas with a good scoring drive this time, 54 yards on 8 plays. And, Pat, they really victimized the lack of experience at linebacker that Texas has. We're not trying to harp on it so much, but it's become a big part of almost every running play.
Well, it's very frustrating, particularly for that front four. Bronner, Espinoza, Llewellyn, and Aldridge are playing great games, all of them. They really are. They're putting pressure on the passers. They're stopping the fullback most of the time, but they just have those quick openers. If they don't absolutely make the play, then the back is just splitting the zone and there's no one left. And, of course, if you're a safety, you're not too happy about it either. They have too many tackles.
That's right. Braggs has been in on about 90% of the tackles tonight. And you want good run support, but enough is enough. Franklin to kick it away. Nelson and Brown now waiting at the 12. Low line drive kick, and Nelson's going to have to chase it down, hoping it'll go out of bounds. And it finally did. That'll cost him another 5 yards. Nelson gambled and won on that one.
It brings back many memories to me, but Freddie Steinmark, I think, had as much to do. He depicted our whole team and our attitude and spirit of that team that year.
Jimmy, thank you for taking time out to join us. I know that the national championship that you got has a lot to do with why they expect a great deal from the University of Texas year in and year out.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Jimmy Street, who did it all back in the late 60s here at UT. Let's go back to Mike and Pat.
Metcalf with his 11th carry of the game, and the one he'll probably remember more than any others is Ricky Wilson just turned him upside down. 2nd and 8 for Texas. They're now down by a touchdown. Stafford, quick screen out there, and it's dropped by Nelson. And a flag is down. Sorry, in the last tackle I said Ricky Wilson. It was Ricky Williams. 57. Just to move your screen right now. Young man has been slowed by a sprained ankle. Missed the New Mexico State game. Missed a lot of practice this week. When he's healthy, he's a great player, though.
Plays the cello when he has time free from football, too.
Disregard the flag. Second down.
Disregard the flag. No penalty.
Well, Williams is the linebacker, and he plays the cello, and the other linebacker, Harris, plays the tuba and piano. So I think you could, objectively say that those linebackers are instrumental to that defense.
Somehow I knew you were going to say that.
Oh, it's true. How often do you see linebackers that play those things?
Still wish you hadn't said instrumental, but
the cellist is definitely first string.
3rd and 8. There's just no response to puns except groans. Stafford to throw. 4-man rush. Bradford after him, can't get him, and he throws it away. Might have hit Nelson with it. Atwater over there on cover. Stafford did a good job. Couldn't find a receiver to begin with, and then scrambled and got rid of it. But Texas will have to punt it away now.
Well, sometimes you get tired of hearing 40 times all the time, and I do get 40-yard dash times. But Stafford, he's a quarterback, and he runs a 4.5 40. He won the high school state title in 300 meters, and he really throws a nice ball. So it's very unusual to have that combination in a quarterback, and it's come in handy tonight.
Waits into punt to Shebest with 7:09 to go, 3rd quarter, and it's still Arkansas by a touchdown. Low line drive bombed over the head of Shebest, and it will take the bounce. He'll have to let it go, and it's out of bounds at the 7-yard line. Big break for the Texas Longhorns as Waits got away a low line drive kick, but he got the bounce. 59-yard punt. We'll be back in a moment. Gotta love Hogs to wear that,
They're hard to find kids with that kind of nose, I'm telling you right now.
Arkansas will start from its own 7-yard line. Give it to Foreman, who gets out to the 10. Pinned there by Steve Llewellyn. We understand that Lane College is in Jackson, Tennessee. The scoreboard update we gave you a little earlier, they are 2-3 on the year. Miles out of Birmingham, 0-7. And there are some of the fans that have been dissatisfied with Fred Akers' performance. Really hate to see that kind of thing. The man's only won 75% of his games. 2nd and 7. They'll give it to Johnson this time. He gets maybe a yard. And Dwayne Duncombe back in there at middle linebacker makes the tackle again. Tim Brando has an update from the sideline. Tim?
We told you earlier, Mike and Pat, that Edwin Simmons was a severe question mark. He did have a rather severe right ankle sprain. They have wrapped it a couple of times. And after talking with the trainer and then the trainer talking to him a second time, he said, look, I'm going back in the game and give this thing a whirl after what I've gone through in the last year or so with my knee. This ankle's not going to stop me, so don't be surprised if 33 in burnt orange isn't out there on the next series.
Probably take 5 of the biggest guys you could find to keep him out of there. 3rd and 5. Thomas. Got room to run and got to the 19-yard line, and it should be enough for the first down. Jeffries made the stop, but he got a fine block from his physical 280-pound center, Brian White.
Well, that was an interesting formation. They took their tight end, Theo Young, and they split him wide to the wide side of the field, which really opened up the roll back to the short side for Thomas, who picked up the first down. Nice job of coaching there.
Considering the size and inexperience of that Texas defense, pointing against guys like White, 280, and Childress, the right guard at 305, Texas has done a fine job on defense. Van Dyke. And Van Dyke gets up to the 24-yard line, where January and Griffin brought him down. January's played pretty well. Even though he's a fifth-year senior, he has not played from scrimmage before this year.
Well, let's watch 78, Limbo Parks. He's all SWC last year, all conference, blocking Espinoza, or Llewellyn, who's a good player. His first game again starting, and he took care of him right there. That's a left guard taking on a defensive tackle. That's an excellent job.
2nd and 4. They'll give it to Johnson. Johnson pinned again. It's January, who's played a pretty good ball game tonight. He's been the only linebacker who's been in on many tackles.
Well, to put it into perspective how well the defensive line's done for Texas, you mentioned, well, Limbo Parks was all conference last year, and then Childress is the biggest player to ever play there at the other guard, and the center's 280. I mean, they're very large up there in the front three, center and 2 guards, and they're doing a good job stopping them.
Childress is one of the biggest players to play anywhere.
310 pounds. They'd say if he can keep it down near 300, he could be the best lineman in the country.
3rd and a yard for Arkansas. And that's Foreman. Got to the 30. Should be enough for another first down. Now the Razorbacks seem to have control of the line of scrimmage, and they're grinding it out a little bit. And it is a first down.
Let's watch Parks again against Llewellyn. Right there in the middle of your screen. They knocked him back. That's what you need. On the first, you know, they wanted that first down. If you could get him back a little bit, a little surge, you just need a yard or two. Limbo Parks did his job. Those guys are going at each other every single play.
Arkansas now starting to win it in the statistical category. And the rushing yards now up to 150. They average 249 yards a game. Foreman again. Llewellyn on his back and gets the ride up to about the 34-yard line.
Well, this is one reason you don't want to be trailing Arkansas. When they have the lead, they're able to give the ball to their fullbacks, and they can really run the clock down.
Plus, if you get ahead of a wishbone team, it's very difficult for them to catch up, although, as we said, Arkansas, one of the better passing teams out of that wishbone formation.
Well, yours was a better point. You're right. Much tougher for wishbone team to come back.
Foreman now 13 carries, 57 yards, and a touchdown. Dig in this time and stop Joe Johnson, who got the ball.
Steve Llewellyn's going to take this at 93 right on the top of your screen. Takes on Parks and gets rid of him. Just cleans him right out and right there. Notice if he hadn't made that tackle, if he hadn't gotten rid of Parks, the running back would have had a seam right up there and had a big gain again. So he had to do 2 jobs right there. Again, no linebacker in the picture.
3rd and 4 from the 36. Arkansas 5 out of 10 on 3rd down conversions. And it's the fullback stopped by Llewellyn. Foreman got 4, but not enough for the first down. January also in on the stop, number 28. But Llewellyn getting better with the more experience. And he's a load at 271 out of Fort Worth.
Well, he played a lot last year. He had 52 tackles. And it's not a surprise he'd figure out how to handle this offensive line. He was not only an All-America in the high school as a player, he was also All-American academically. He's showing it right there. He's made the adjustments. Looks like a quick punt formation here.
Horn will come on to punt. Metcalf isn't back there yet. He's hustling, trying to get back. And Horn just airs one out. And it goes into the end zone.
He didn't need to be back.
A 61-yard punt for Greg Horn. It was in the air for 4.6 seconds. 1:59 to go in the quarter, and still Arkansas by a touchdown. 1:59 left to go in the 3rd quarter. Texas football at its own 20. Harris and Metcalf, the running backs. And Stanford to throw. Metcalf, he's got it at the 28-yard line. He's been very good at sending Metcalf out of the backfield and having him catch the football. He had 11 catches coming into the ball game. And you want to get the ball to a guy that's that quick as often as you can.
It's awfully difficult for any linebacker to cover someone like him. And he seems to be very intelligent about a man-to-man coverage. He makes a nice move in the zone. He sits right in the seam like that. Stafford has no trouble finding him.
And Simmons is back in the ball game at tailback. Went out earlier with an ankle injury. And this is Simmons on the sweep. Made 2 cuts. Only got back to the line of scrimmage, however. Atwater came up from the safety spot to make the tackle again, and Atwater is tough against the run.
Well, we mentioned Ricky Williams earlier, number 57. He's a big hitter right here for Arkansas on the left side of your screen. He's going to come along laterally. He just ignores all the moves, gets in, gets on the ankle there. Wasn't a big hit, but a very effective play. Didn't give him the inside cutback. And that's what a good linebacker does. Moves laterally, takes away the cutback.
3rd and 2, and Metcalf is back in the ball game. Simmons trots off. Stafford hits Johnson. First down, 43-yard line. Ricky Williams on coverage, but Gabriel Johnson ran that quick post or quick slant over the middle, and Stafford hit him.
Well, that was a nice little 3-man pattern. They ran Metcalf a little deep, and they brought Johnson back underneath him with the hook. They had Gay running the outside corner off. Very nice call at 3rd and 2. Nice throw. They're getting Stafford a lot of time. He's standing back there picking his receivers well.
Robertson, 45, comes in for Johnson, 31, and Simmons is back in at the tailback for Metcalf on 1st and 10, 43. Norris. And he plows ahead 47, maybe 48-yard line. On top of him is Charles Washington and Kerry Crawford. And that will be the last play of the third period. The quarter is over in Austin, Texas, where Arkansas continues to lead the Longhorns 21-14. 15 minutes of football to go from Austin, Texas, Memorial Stadium, where 67,000 plus have turned out to watch Texas and Arkansas. The Longhorns with the ball 2nd and 7. Stafford, another quarterback draw. He'll only get 3 out of this one to midfield. Cherico and Martin on the tackle. You know what? Cherico is a guy whose name we haven't called that much tonight.
No, really, and they finally figured this play out. And one reason they figured it out is they changed their coverage. So their linebacker is going to be staying at home, and they'll take away this quarterback draw. The middle's not open anymore because they've changed their secondary coverage, which affects the front 7 people also.
Some other scores for you. Arizona leading Oregon State. That's first quarter. Mississippi State leading by a touchdown. Southern Mississippi with a lead. Stafford hits his tight end, Steve Clark, to the Arkansas 45, where Williams makes the tackle. The interesting thing about Cherico is that he dates Fred Akers' daughter, Leslie.
Well, that's a real conflict of interest. Poor girl. Now, who do you think she's cheering for in the stands?
She is cheering for Dad.
Yeah, I guess until she gets the ring, huh? It's a more permanent situation, yeah. That is interesting. And wasn't he the guy that had the boa constrictor last year, too?
Cherico is a free spirit, that's right. That was Agnes, who now lives in Kansas City, and Cherico goes to visit. 1st and 10, Texas. Norris almost lost the football, cuts it outside, and is tripped. And one of the Arkansas players who was in on the tackle is down. Here's Norris, who was lucky to hold on to the football, and there is the injured Arkansas player. We won't speculate until we're sure of the number. He grabbed his knee on the way down right after the tackle. And of course, everybody here plays on artificial turf, and if you go down with a knee and bang it, and it's Ricky Williams, young man who has had a sprained ankle. And it's no picnic just falling on that turf, let alone being knocked to it.
Now let's see if we can see how Ricky hurt his knee here. We're going to take away the play again. Nice lateral movement by Williams. That's what he's known for. Yeah, looked like 68 knocked his knee out from under him.
It's Albert Harris, the other linebacker. And now Williams is up and going off under his own motion.
Well, he's accustomed to having knee problems because he actually played nose guard in high school, Mike. Very unusual to make that change from nose guard to a linebacker.
And you can see what a job that Arkansas has done against Texas in the rushing game. Longhorns only with 4 yards rushing in this half. 2nd and 9 right now. Stafford may have to go to the air. He's 11 out of 22. 121 yards. Flag is down as he hits Metcalf. Metcalf buried at the 25, but a flag was down in the Texas backfield, and this one may come back. And it will. Illegal use of hands and penalties. If Texas loses this game, they will go back and look at the penalties as the reason.
Well, they've had 3 big plays on offense called back, which were first downs, as well as a field goal, which we alluded to many times earlier, that turned into a touchdown. Now, one thing as an offensive lineman, if you're going to hold, which they do most of the time, but they try to get away with it, you don't want to do it right in front of the official. 69 on the right-hand side of your screen, just grabbing right under the face mask. That's actually what they call more than holding. I mean, the referee's looking right at it. There's no problem there. He's got a hold of the guy's face mask. He's got to be a little more subtle than that.
Qualifies new rule. Qualifies as flagrant. He was a guard last year. Maybe he's used to being a little closer to the middle and not so much isolated in the action. But it's 2nd and 14 for Arkansas. Or for Texas, as Arkansas shows blitz. Cherico was drilled by a great block, and the pass down the sideline is out of bounds. It was caught by Gay, but he was out of bounds. Washington knocked him out.
It looked to me like he could have come back in bounds. Ball's up in the air, but if his momentum...
Billy Ray Todd makes a block on Cherico, And Jericho's going to be late to the dance.
Number 64, he's going to come right towards you, right here. Now watch this block. Never sees it. Oh, what a hit. What a hit. Now let's see if he's inbounds. We know after he catches this ball, he's just going to find a seam. He'll come back now. The quarterback's scrambling. He'll come back up the sidelines. Question is he knocked out of bounds? I think he would have come down with at least 1 foot in.
Too.
Officials missed that play.
3rd and 14. Big play here for Texas, trying to keep the drive alive. They're down by a touchdown. Stafford throws, and it's hit. What a grab! Kevin Nelson.
Just took it right away from the defender.
It looked like that one would be knocked down, and Nelson somehow maintained his concentration and made the catch. And they have said it was incomplete.
Let's watch this again. It's a heck of an effort. He's going to split right down, right across the field. Here comes Nelson into your picture. Takes it away. And it was not.
Oh, it bounced.
Well, official just made up for the other call. They made that one right.
We were blocked from this angle and couldn't see it. Waits. Is back to punt, and Texas will have to give it up. Oh, beautiful punt this time. This thing is air-mailed into the end zone. And Arkansas will start from its 20 when we come back after a 46-yard punt. In this ball game, and each possession now becomes more and more important for both ball clubs. Arkansas is up by 7. They would love nothing better than to get more points on the board and make Texas have to score twice. The Longhorn defense, on the other hand, really has to dig in. Arkansas has done a much better job on offense here in the second half. The running backs are Derek Thomas, 40, Joe Johnson, 19, and Aaron Jackson, 44. And once again, it's the fullback, the play that Arkansas really wants, the tackle made by 67, Bobby Rhodes. Thomas and Foreman alternating fullback, as Pat told you earlier. And together, coming into this ballgame, they've gained almost 3,000 yards as a tandem in their career. And it's a little unusual. They are best friends. And usually when you're competing with a spot, that's very difficult. 2nd and 7. Thomas will pitch it to Van Dyke. And Van Dyke gets to the 30. It's going to be a first down. Driven out of bounds by Braggs that time. Larry Burnett has a scoreboard update for us.
Well, the Boilermakers trying to come back in the 4th.
56 to go in our game from Austin, Texas. 1st and 10, Arkansas. And this kind of offense can run a lot of time off the scoreboard. Texas coming on a blitz. Thomas gets it out to Johnson. And Johnson looked like he was going to get some yardage on it, but Tony Griffin came up to close it down. Tim Brando has an update for us from the sideline here in Austin. Tim?
I tell you, fellas, they called the Hogs the offensive line with the Redskins, but Ricky Williams was hurt. Ricky, turn around, shoot us a little smile. He chipped his tooth there right in the front, and he was back in without any smelling sauce, laughing gas, or anything. I tell you, this guy's truly a hog.
Can you imagine what those nerves are doing right now?
I can't. I don't want to think about it.
I wouldn't be drinking any Gatorade.
2nd and 9 after a gain of 1 on the last play for Johnson. Thomas wants to throw. Floats it sideline. And it's incomplete off the hands of J.R. Brown, who was looking to run with it before he had it.
That's not the optimum type of pass to have coming at you.
And we have another Texas injury. Again, it's another inexperienced linebacker, Brad Lucky, number 83, who had been a tight end. And they've got to wonder on the Texas sideline if there is a jinx against linebackers. Virtually everyone they have had play there this year has been hurt at one time or another, including their truly outstanding linebacker, Fred Hager. And they're attending to that left arm.
See if we can see how he got hurt on this play. It's his left arm. He's out to make the play. Oh, my goodness. That's really tough to tell right there.
Don't know how. May have hit the yard marker. Brad Lucky coming off with the assistance of the Texas training staff. And now it's 3rd and 9. Big play here. Texas needs to hold and get the ball back with 10:56 to go. And situation substitutions for the Longhorns. They rush a couple of people on and off the field. Thomas does not go to the shotgun. Now he does on 3rd and 9. And he's got the first down. Shibest caught the ball, and now they roll it incomplete. Shibest made the catch. Tony Griffin drilled him, and he dropped the ball. I thought it was a completion, and so did Coach Hatfield.
Well, this is part of being a defensive back. You know, you can't just take away every pass. But once a guy has the ball, it's their job to come up and drill him. But he definitely had possession of that ball.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of defensive secondary work, you know.
Sure looked like a catch. Tough break for Arkansas as they have to turn it over. And Horn, who was a big weapon with that punt, gets off a poor one this time to Metcalf at the 30. No place to go. Got as much out of it as he could near the 40-yard line. 39-yard punt from the nation's leading punter. And when we come back, Texas will start from its own 40-yard line. And it's 40 seconds left from Austin, Texas. The Longhorns trail by 7, and they have the football at their own 40-yard line. Norris and Simmons, the running backs, and Stafford to throw. To Simmons. Avoided one tackle, then hit and pushed back. They'll give him the forward progress to the 34. There is a flag down. Make it to the 44, rather. And it's a hold against Texas. Penalties have just killed them in critical situations. And it's getting more and more critical by the second. The 8th penalty against the Longhorns.
Okay, left tackle. It's on number 79, Steve Urgel. It's the left tackle. Right on the top of your screen. He's going to grab right onto the jersey. Easy call. When you're an outside guy like a tackle, those refs can see that very easily. You cannot grab a jersey. You got to keep your hands off them. You can bump them, but you can't hold on to it.
So that'll cost Texas 10. Pushes the Longhorns back to the 30. It's 1st and 20. Norris, the lone back. Over the middle to Simmons. And Simmons hit the ground. Ball came loose. Arkansas says they have it. Was it a fumble? The officials consulting. And it's Arkansas football. Cherico made the hit. Or Cherico made the recovery, rather. And this is a very, very close call, Pat.
This is a tough break for Texas. Again, they run the little crossing route. This time with Simmons out of the backfield instead of Metcalf. Right on the money. Now he's going to turn it up.
Tough from that angle. Regardless, it is Arkansas football at the Texas 42. And a big break for the Razorbacks. Foreman got a yard. Stacked up by Bronner.
And we can pretend like we're NFL officials here. Is this conclusive or not? Evidence. Another angle. No, that is a fumble. He was hit before his elbow hit the ground. That's the right call by the officials.
Well, was his knee on the ground before the ball came loose?
Well, the nearest official was going to call it a non-fumble, and the other guy on the other side who had a better angle actually did call it the fumble and overruled it, which is the right play.
That Arkansas defense does force turnovers. Thomas on the option. And he is racked up in the backfield. They'll lose a yard. And a great tackle by Tony Griffin, number 16, the free safety. 3rd on the team in tackles coming into this one, and made a big play there.
But he's made 3 tackles in the last few minutes, and they moved him from free safety to corner because they needed him to make more plays like that. Force the ball just like he's doing.
There's Edwin Simmons. Had 1 touchdown, but that big fumble can stick in his mind, too. Big play, 3rd and 10. Arkansas to Texas 42. The receiver stopped short. The defender fell down. Jeffries fell down, and Donnie Centers cut off the pattern.
They threw the ball to the post, and he ran a shake pattern to the out. Let's watch sinners on this play. Now he's going to run a corner, and the quarterback throws the ball to the post. Some miscommunications. They're lucky that wasn't intercepted. You're right, Mike. The defensive back fell, or it would have been intercepted.
They'll have to kick it away on 4th and 10. So Texas holds, and they'll get the ball back. Fair catch signal, but they'll let it go, and it makes the end zone. Braggs was back to take that kick. Hang time of 4.68 and a 42-yard kick. It'll be Texas at the 20.
Tonight,
And 27 seconds left to go. Texas with the football down by a touchdown from their own 20. Stafford to throw. Dumps it off to Metcalf. And Metcalf ruled out of bounds at the 29-yard line. It'll be a gain of 9. Stafford now hitting 50% of his passes for 142 yards. Most of the short variety.
They've not been able to stop those backs out of the backfield. Really, the only way they did stop was the fumble to Simmons, but he had picked up about 15 yards before fumbling.
Stafford approaching 1,000 yards this season. The record for a single season, 1599. He's almost a certainty to get that. 2nd and 1. Get it to the fullback, Norris. Norris got to the 30, but not across it. Stopped by David Shell, number 70. LSU now stretching it out over Kentucky. Wake Forest, Maryland trying to come back, could not do it, and the Deacons hung on to win. Long Beach over New Mexico State. That's a 3rd quarter score. And here we go. Lane Dragons of Jacksonville, or Jackson, Tennessee, are leading the Miles Bears 14-6. The score is being provided by the Jackson, Tennessee Police Department. We go the last mile. You won't get that score anywhere else. 1st and 10 Texas. And Stafford about to run out of time on the 25-second clock, calls the timeout to avoid the 5-second penalty. With 7:51 to go in the ball game, we have a timeout here in Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. A 7-point ball game. Arkansas has not won a football game in this stadium since 1966. They are up by a touchdown right now with 7:51 to go in the ball game. Texas 1st and 10 at its own 30. Both wide receivers near side. Stafford incomplete, intended for Johnson. And the ball was stripped there by Nathaniel White, the backup Rover, who made an excellent play.
They tried to go downfield to Gabriel Johnson on this pass, and he's held earlier. Ball's right there. The defensive back closed on it. It actually should have been a penalty earlier. He grabbed him, or else he'd have been wide open. Refs missed it. Good recovery by the defensive back, though. He wasn't caught for the penalty, and he managed to strip the ball clean. Nice throw by Stafford.
2nd and 10 for Texas. 7:44 left. Simmons the man in motion, and they're looking that way. Throwing for Simmons. He got it. And it's ruled out of bounds at the 39 of Arkansas. Simmons with a great catch covered by Brothers. But it's out of bounds. What a big play that would have been.
Top of the screen, 33 Edwin Simmons. This is a running back, ladies and gentlemen, going up the field on a streak pattern. And it's just stripped. Right now they're having difficulty throwing to the outside receivers because they're double covering them. That was a nice job by the safety to cover all the way to the sideline to take away that ball to the tailback.
The numbers on Stafford. 3rd and 10 Texas. Stafford with all day to throw. Now he's in trouble. Dumps it short to his tight end. They'll be short of the first down as McCray only gets 8 to the 38-yard line. And it was Otis Lloyd, the Rover back, who made the tackle. And a first down saving tackle it was.
Well, that was a nice job by Stafford. He bought himself some time. He stayed in the pocket, and then delivered the ball.
Now, Texas has taken its 2nd of 3 timeouts. And the crowd had begun to chant, go.
I think they have to go for it here.
7:15 left in the game. You think they'll go?
I do.
How long is your contract?
I think you have to go for it. You know, they've been able to stop Arkansas, but they've decimated a linebacker. And if Arkansas gets the ball, they punt, Arkansas gets the ball, they may be able to run the timeout. I think you've got a chance here to make a first down, and they can throw the ball. I think Texas picks up this first down. They're confident they can go in and score.
Texas has not shown the punt team yet, and they're talking with Fred Akers. And offensive coordinator Dwayne Painter will have his input here. The ball is marked just shy of the 39. They're about a yard and a half short of a first down.
Wrong again.
I think it's a good decision. The crowd is booing a little bit, but I think you've got to punt the ball now with 7:15 to go in the game.
Yeah, but look at it this way. You're going to punt the ball, and you've just given up a timeout, so you're going to hurt your offense later on down in the game. You don't call a timeout to punt the ball.
Well, I'll vote for it. Waits is on to kick, and Shebest keeps the receive standing at his 20. Beautiful punt. And Shebest just runs the other way, and it goes into the end zone. And there is a flag down on the play. This could be a big penalty. If it's against Arkansas, it's a first down. And Arkansas indicates it's against Texas, and that's the way it's gone all night.
Wow. They haven't had a penalty work their way yet.
And Ken Hatfield says we don't want the penalty, and it's another face mask. So Arkansas will get the ball on the 20 after a 61-yard kick. Tim Brando has something for us from the sideline. Tim?
I'm down here with Leslie Akers, the daughter of Coach Fred Akers of the Texas Longhorns. She is dating Tony Chirico, the nose guard of Arkansas. It's a pretty big rivalry. Is it as big a rivalry for you and Tony?
No, not personally, but as far as the schools are concerned, it is.
I have to ask you this question, Leslie. It's been a very difficult time for your father. How has the family weathered the storm of the controversy swirling around your coach and the University of Texas and your father?
We don't appreciate it, but we do appreciate our supporters that really stand behind us. But we're a strong family, and we're going to be fine.
At times, do you feel like you have to just ignore what's going on around you? Are you able to do that?
To a certain extent, we sort of get kind of hot, but I guess it goes with the territory.
Thank you very much for joining us. You met Tony after Texas beat Arkansas last year. He's got revenge on his mind right now.
Hopefully he won't get it, so let's wait and see.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Leslie Akers, who has a lot at stake in tonight's outcome of the Arkansas-Texas game.
She showed the right loyalty, though. You know where she's sleeping tonight. She'll be at home with Daddy. She wants Texas to win this game.
First and 10, Arkansas at their own 20-yard line. And they'll get about 6 as they go up the middle that time. Braggs and Hagee make the tackle on Johnson. And Arkansas, intent on trying to run some time off the clock. They get a few first downs here. Second and 4, Razorbacks. Out of the wishbone. They'll give it to Johnson, and Johnson absolutely nothing on this. Stacked up by McAdoo. In at linebacker, number 62. So it'll bring up a big third down play with a clock running of 6:14. Oh, they've even got a card section now. There was an earlier button that we missed that said hogs smell good, which either means you're a Razorback fan or you've got a problem. 3rd and 3, Thomas on the option. And he just got the first down. Braggs grabbed him and couldn't hold him. Llewellyn came over and McAdoo to finish it off, but he got it by a foot.
Steve Braggs is a big hitter, and they need this place from their safeties. Again, many times the Texas safeties lead the team in tackles. That's excellent. Just made the first down. You know, on that play, they ran with the option. It was a good play by Arkansas because the belly would have been stopped. They had that fullback stopped again short of the first down. And he pulled the ball out and made the first down himself.
Good read by Thomas, and the spin at the end of the run was what got him the first down. Clock running, 5:33 to go. Johnson got room to run. Braggs again on the tackle, but he may have another first down at the 41-yard line.
It's just unbelievable when they break through that line of scrimmage how much room they have. And this is a problem. You can't have your safeties making the tackles all the time downfield 10 yards. You need some backers making the plays at 2 and 3 yards. But Stephen Braggs goes laterally here, makes a nice play. Real sure tackler. They just can't give him that much room to run. Yeah, when they break clear, there's just nothing in front of them but green.
And it looks like Texas is trying to gamble a little bit too, maybe going for the football right now. 5, 10, and counting in the game. It is a first down. Johnson again, this time not much. He was hit initially by Brian Espinoza and then rolled a little bit into the linebacking cord, stacked him up. Been a good game for Johnson. 15 carries, 58 yards. A couple of touchdowns. Give him 6 touchdowns on the season. Second and 7. They give it to the fullback, Derek Thomas. He gets to the 48-yard line. Llewellyn is in on the stop. And Arkansas has done a great job of running time off the clock. We're already down to 4:18, and they're certainly in no hurry.
How many 2s and 3s do they have tonight?
A bunch. Shibes talking with Ken Hatfield. He'll bring in the play on 3rd and call it 3 from their own 48-yard line. And there's only 10 seconds to go on that 25-second clock, so Thomas is going to have to hurry it up to the line of scrimmage. Just got it off in time on the option to Johnson. Got a block on the outside and has another first down into Arkansas territory at the 47. Jeffries is the man who chased it out of bounds, but they have run that option when they really needed it. They've gone outside.
This is a great read by the quarterback. Greg Thomas can take the ball, fake the belly. They've been running that a lot of the 3rd down plays. Now he's going to go with the option. He gets tacked right as he gets hit. He gets the ball outside. Just enough room for Johnson to pick up the first down.
On that play, 2 defenders went for the quarterback. Nobody covered the pitch man, and that's why they got the play. 3:48 to go. Arkansas just trying to grind it out. Fullback gets a yard. That's Derek Thomas. Stopped by the middle of the line. Espinoza, Steelhammer in here. This is a offense being run to perfection right now. Used up about 4 minutes already on this drive.
Well, that was the gamble with punting. You know, there's a chance they would never get the ball back.
Hard to believe you could be right after all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Always trying to put you in the best light. Johnson, a flag is down as he gets to the 40-yard line. Smacked down there by David McAdoo.
I think Texas was offsides on that play. Defensive tackle. Try to get off the mark a little quick.
Another penalty. Boy, they've just killed themselves with it.
9 for 69 yards is not a way to win a ball game, particularly when you're playing a team that's a little stronger than you physically.
Defense, 2nd down.
So now instead of 2nd and 8, it is 2nd and 3, and that plays right into the Arkansas hands.
And it's not always just the number of penalties or the yards, it's when they come. And they've really resulted in, giving up points and losing points.
Ball at the Texas 40, 2nd and 3. Clock running, 2:53 left. Van Dyke lost a yard there. Texas only has 1 timeout left. Brawner made the tackle along with January. So they can only stop the clock once. Arkansas has its full complement of 3. 2:31. And this will be a 3rd and 3 play.
Will it be another option? This time to the right side of the field.
I'd hate to bet against it. Thomas has run the option beautifully. Fullback, very close to the first down, is Derek Thomas. Llewellyn on the stop. They will probably have to stop the clock and measure. They do at 2:13.
Well, they've run the option several times in these short yardage plays where they've kept the ball, either kept it or pitched it. This time they give it to Thomas, who's fresh. He's the backup starting fullback. They alternate. Just a nice wide open hole. He made the right read. Right now, Greg Thomas is running into perfection. He's made every read correct, and they pick up the first downs every time.
They don't make the first down. Brings up an interesting choice. Would Arkansas go for it? I would think they would. And they're short.
You know, they don't have their pooch punter here. They only have the punter, the long punter.
The situation is this. 2:13 to go. Arkansas leads by a touchdown. And now Arkansas wants a timeout to discuss what they'll do on 4th and inches. We'll find out when we come back to Austin, Texas, with Arkansas leading by 7. Hatfield trying to become the first winning coach of an Arkansas football team on this field since 1966. And he's got 2 minutes and 13 seconds to do it. His team up by a touchdown. 4th and inches from the Texas 37, and they are going to go for it. Brett Akers hoping that his defense can dig in one last time. They have to get the ball back, or they'll drop to 2 and 3 and 1 and 1 in the conference. Arkansas, as far as the conference is concerned, has to win tonight. And they got it with Derek Thomas. He got to the 35, first down. Braggs and Steelhammer on the tackle. That could wrap it up.
The offensive line just gets the surge here. It's an easy first down for Thomas, relatively speaking. He picked up 2 yards. It wasn't close. A big surge by the offensive line. He follows it right in there. It's so nice, though, to have a fresh fullback like Thomas. This is the tradition they've done here for 3 years now. They use Foreman to wear out the defense in the first half and Thomas in the second half.
Got an excellent block from Chris Beckett, number 65, his right tackle. He graduated 3.5 years in law school. Ohio State with a big lead. Arizona over Oregon State. That's the second quarter score. Mississippi State, who we'll see next week against Auburn, is 2 touchdowns ahead of Tulane. Johnson protecting the ball, gets to the 32. Texas with 1 timeout left. The clock is running at 1:35. Johnson, 17 carries, 66 yards, a couple of touchdowns. The leading ball carrier tonight.
Well, it's a tribute to the Arkansas offense. They got the ball with 6.5 minutes left, and they're going to run it all the way down inside a minute, probably all the way now. Just executed their offense perfectly. Took 3 downs to make or 4 downs to make some of the first downs. They've done every one of them.
Thomas watching that 25-second clock, using every bit of it he can. Gives it off to his fullback again. That's Derek Thomas. About a yard. January on the stop. And now Texas will use its last timeout with 54 seconds to go in the ball game. It is desperation time for the Longhorns. Pat, really the only thing you can do right now on the next carry is gamble, try to steal the football.
Which is not going to be easy to do. As we know, Arkansas does not turn the ball over very often. They're a good team. I mean, you know, there are just critical moments in a game. You come in as a coach, and you hate to make those decisions on 4th downs. And, you know, you want to show confidence in your offense on the one hand. You want to hit it on the other hand. You want to tell your defense that you can hold them. Well, they gambled. The defense wasn't able to hold them. And now the offense is saying, you should have given us a chance, coach. It's a tough situation.
Well, difficult for me. I will have to disagree with you on this. Difficult for me to expect Texas to go for it inside their own 40 with 7 minutes to go in the game. But as it turns out, of course, hindsight is 20/20, as they always say. But you called it at the time. Got to give you credit for that one.
Don't suggest me to take Akers' spot, all right?
Well, I gave you the credit grudgingly, you'll notice. Thank you. 54 seconds left. Arkansas facing a 3rd and 6. Texas is out of timeouts. Thomas keeps it on the action and hangs onto the football. A smart move. He stops at the 33. Now, when the ball is marked ready for play, Arkansas doesn't have to get the ball in play for another 25 seconds. So now the officials mark it ready for play. Our Hartford player of the game is Joe Johnson, the sophomore left halfback for the Razorbacks of Arkansas. 17 carries, 66 yards. And now the officials are stopping the clock because the 25-second play clock was not running at all. The game clock was. As you look at Johnson. And Ken Hatfield would just as soon watch the clock run all the way down. But the ball was marked ready for play with more than, I believe, 36, 37 seconds to go. And the game, the play clock never started. So the officials are discussing it. Should have started, I believe, with 36 seconds left when the ball was marked ready for play.
Put 41 seconds on the clock.
Will do it. 41 seconds will be left.
I have to wonder how they arrive exactly at that number. How did they get to 41?
I think you picked two numbers.
Just try to get close.
Of course, the official may have looked up and noticed it on the scoreboard, the fact that there was the differential. And now Arkansas is just going to let the thing run down. There is a 16-second differential between the game clock and the 25-second clock.
If they take the snap, they could probably run off, what, about 7, 8 seconds if they decided to run around?
But apparently they're not going to bother with it. They're just going to let it run down. And they'll be penalized 5 yards, and then they will run 4th down and try to run some time off the clock.
How many seconds do you think you could run off the clock if you were the quarterback there and you took the ball and ran backwards?
2. If I took more than 2, somebody might knock me into the cheap seat. So I'll take 2 seconds and fall down.
25 seconds ticked out. Still 4th down. Timeout. White.
Tell you what, I was the kind of player who didn't want the ball in situations like this.
I would punt this ball. I mean, I'd put my punter back there.
Would you really?
Yeah. If there was no problem with snap, I'd kick it. If not, I'd run around as long as I could and then pooch it down. Well, look at, they're down on the, they can pin them in right here. You know, you can pin them in, make them go 90 yards. Problem is, if you run a play here, you might run 6, 7 seconds off the clock, and really they're realistically within striking range from the 35, 40-yard line.
Well, on the other hand, if you had a deep snap to a punter back at around the 50 and he ran around, they'd only have 50 yards to go.
If I'd punt it, if you had plenty of time, I'd kick it. If the guy felt too much pressure, I'd try to run onto the side, run some time off the clock, and still try to pooch it downfield because you don't have to kick it very far.
Arkansas is discussing the same options that we have and that you have at home.
Yeah, but they didn't have you as an option. They're not thinking of you right now.
That's why they're going to be 5-1. Because I wasn't in there to mess it up. Arkansas losing only a week ago in a big upset to Texas Tech. That is a conference loss, and only once in the history of the Southwest Conference has a team with 2 losses been able to even share the conference title. So you can't lose 2 in this league and expect to do anything.
Here comes the offense.
Thomas comes up to the line of scrimmage with 16 seconds left to go in the game. And it's 4th and 13. And Thomas just trying to run out the clock, and he's buried at the 44. That will stop the clock on change of possession with 12 seconds left. And I didn't understand that one real well.
Now they're within striking range.
Texas has one last hope. They're going to have to throw one as far as they can throw it.
I don't agree. Right now, what they should do is they should try to run a route near the sideline, get down to inside the 40-yard line somewhere to the 30 to 35-yard line, try to get a completion, get out of bounds, and then throw one more pass. It's an awful long throw. You're going to have to heave it about 65 yards.
Texas has 2 quarterbacks in there. Donovan Forbes, number 8, has checked in, and he may take it on a pitch and throw it. That's exactly what he'll do. He wants to throw it back to Stafford, but he throws it short, and it's almost intercepted. Stafford was the intended receiver, got bumped out there by Dudley, and that play burned 6 seconds. And Texas is out of options now.
It burned 6 seconds, but it wasn't going to burn the defense. They have 8 guys back there waiting for plays like that. Now they've got to go down toward the end zone.
Stafford comes out of the ball game, and Donovan Forbes, the freshman from Baytown, Texas, that was only his 7th pass of the season, is in to throw the ball as far as he can throw it. And look at the secondary. The deep man is standing at the Arkansas 8-yard line, 60 yards away from the line of scrimmage.
3-man pass rush.
Forbes with an unbelievable arm throws incomplete. That's the last play of the game. And for the first time in 20 years, Arkansas has come to Austin, Texas, and left with a win. And Ken Hatfield gets a well-deserved ride on his players' shoulders. And the problems continue for Fred Akers. His club now drops to 2-3 overall, 1-1 in the Southwest Conference. Arkansas will go to 5-1, and they have a single defeat in the conference as well. Both still alive for the conference title, but Arkansas in far better shape overall at 5-1. So much for the Jinx, Pat.
Well, sometimes the Jinx, you're fortunate. I know they have some seniors who have been waiting for this night a long time. They finally got a victory over Texas, finally got it at the home field. I know there's a lot of alumni that are happy right now. And really, this could change it future encounters.
Fred Akers did not win the ball game tonight. It will certainly increase the pressure on him. But Fred Akers has gone through this with a lot of courage and a lot of class, and we wish him well. There is a ball game over here in Austin. Arkansas wins by a touchdown.
Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas, where Arkansas has won for the first time in 2 decades by a score of 21-14. I'm down here now with the winning coach, Ken Hatfield of the Hogs. And, Coach, you really won this game by playing mistake-free football.
Well, we felt you had to do that down here in Texas, and we got a lot of help with a lot of their penalties they had. But the main thing is our kids hung in there. We're not a big physical team like some other people in the country, and we knew we were going to have to fight to the bitter end, and I was really pleased with our kids. I think we're all very thankful to the Lord just allow us to play football in America, and tonight was what football is about.
Ken, it has been said that your team has opened up a bit because of Thomas's ability, but tonight you won with a ground game. You were just dominant on the ground.
Well, we did have 2 reasons. We felt like, number one, they were physically trying to, they had a great drive. They ran the ball down our throat. We had to keep our defense off the field. Second thing, we felt they'd had a lot of injuries in the interior line, linebacker. We felt their offensive line was going to have to control the line of scrimmage on run or passing, and when they did it, I was really pleased with them.
Coach, did you tell anything to your kids going into this game because of the fact that you had not won here in 20 years, and they had never beat a Texas team here?
No, I didn't mention anything about it. I said, you don't read the papers because they're going to mention all about it, and you don't have to carry the burden of 20 years. All we were trying to do is get our team at 86 to be the best we could be. We didn't play good last week, and I thought we played with a Razorback spirit tonight.
Thank you, Coach Hatfield.
Thank you for covering the game.
All right, Hatfield's Hogs are at it again. The final score, 21-14. Arkansas beating Texas. Let's go back up to Mike and Pat.
Hey, Tim, good luck. Get that police escort and get out of there. Final score, Arkansas 21, Texas 14. And now, tonight's Canon Camera Play of the Game as chosen by ESPN's production staff. Brought to you by Canon Cameras, so advanced to the world's leaders in 35mm photography. Our play of the game, one of 2 touchdown runs from sophomore left halfback Joe Johnson of Arkansas, the 200-pounder out of Longview, Texas, whose 12 points was the difference in tonight's game. We'll be back to wrap it up from Austin, Texas, where Arkansas has won in Austin for the first time in 20 years, right after this. Score from Austin, Texas. Arkansas 21, Texas 14. Coming up next, the Hartford Insurance Group College Football Report with Larry Enbino. ESPN's live presentation of CFA football continues next Saturday night when unbeaten Auburn visits Mississippi State. Our coverage begins at 7 p.m. with the Mercury College Football Scoreboard Show. It was a great night for Ken Hatfield of Arkansas, who saw his Razorbacks go to 5-1 on the season and breaking a 20-year jinx here in Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. His club also stays alive in the conference race after last week's upset. They are 1-1, and the troubles continue for Texas coach Fred Akers. His team now 2-3, 1-1 in the Southwest Conference. For Pat McAnally and Tim Brando, this is Mike Patrick saying goodnight from Austin. Let's join Larry Enbino for the College Football Report.
All right, gentlemen, nice job out there, and a tough loss for Texas, but a big win for Arkansas, and it's not Green Acres for Fred Akers, is it?
No, he's definitely in trouble, and I think it's obvious, judging from the interview with various people at Texas, that this will be his last year unless it's a miracle. We also have to look ahead to the key game in the conference. The team that would go to the Cotton Bowl, it now is shaping up as the Texas A&M Arkansas game later in the season. Naturally, it's later in the season.
So that'll be a good one to keep an eye on. Scores and highlights, so stay with us.
The Hartford College Football Report is brought to you by the Hartford, the insurance people of ITT.
Well, Ohio State could also a rocky...
Son, the committee investigating athletics.
Razorback football with Ken Hatfield. Brought to you today by the Arkansas Gazette, the next best thing to being there. By your Middle Arkansas Pontiac dealers. By Shelter Insurance. By Simmons First. By your Arkansas Shindawa Power Equipment dealers. By Southwestern Bell Telephone. By Stevens Financial Services, a division of Stevens Incorporated Investment Bankers. And by MAPCO Gas and your local Thermogas dealers. And now, please welcome Ken Hatfield and Paul Eels.
Well, welcome. Thank you, thank you. Welcome to all of our audience and studio audience and everybody nationwide. Psalms 101 says, make a joyful noise to the Lord, all ye lands, and that's what we're doing here today. And anybody watching the show, we're having a joyful noise and joyful time. We had a great game, a great victory. Our players played extremely hard. And it's good to be here, Paul.
And it's good to be with you. Congratulations, and it's like the commercial. You earned it the hard way last night.
Well, I think so, Paul. I think the thing that was so important about the ball game, number one, that we won. Number two, especially after last week, and we came back. Number two, we won in Austin for the first time in 20 years, which is a big lift to a lot of future Razorback teams and a lot of the younger players who will be in that locker room in a couple of years from now. The other thing is that we're still in the conference race, which we needed to win to stay into that. And the fourth thing, we play like fighting Razorbacks. That was the real key more than anything else this week, is the commitment we had made to one another, the way we practiced, that everything came together at one time, one focus, and it was all worthwhile, and the prize was definitely worth all the effort.
I was going to say the prize just happened to be Texas, but the effect and the end result would have been the same no matter whom it might have been against, Coach.
I think it just meant that much more because it was Texas, and that's why I really was not concerned about all the hoopla about the excess pressure that the players and people seem to have when we play down there in Austin, because it didn't matter. I wasn't worried about Texas. I was worried about the 86th edition of the Razorbacks.
Coach, we have a question now for you from the audience.
Billy Mitchell from Cabot. Basically, what I'd like to know is, you mentioned pressure. Does the fans of Arkansas, whom are the best fans in the world, put additional pressure on the players the week of the Texas game, more so than the other games?
I think it's a good question, because there's no doubt that that does happen. I'm not sure it's the fans that do that as much as it is the media. Media are great historians, and they keep up with a lot of past actions. That's what I told our players. I said, if you read a paper, all you're going to read about is what's happened in the past. And you've got to not even read this week. Just take a week from reading. It won't hurt some of you right there. But anyway, it'll give you a break. But anyway, the main thing is, every thought you need to be concentrated on during this week is what's going to take place. Then let them report about it after the ball game, because it does make a big difference.
Stay with us. We'll look at first quarter, first half highlights with Coach when we come back in a moment. Wise in Austin, and about 67,000 turned out, Coach, to watch it despite the national telecast of the ball.
I'll tell you what, it's about 4,000 Arkansans there, though, and they got there an hour and a half prior to kickoff, and they made more noise than all the rest of us Longhorn fans. I guarantee you that. The band was super when it marched in, and we were fired up to play from the first go. I think this first series here, in about the first 4 minutes, really determined the game. You look at there. We get them, hit them good on the kickoff, we cover it well. 3 plays here. They're going to come out, try to run like they did last year on us. You see they're not able to. Get a great play right there and stop them. And here's Brett Stafford. We're trying to control him. Look at the great pursuit. David Dudley's got him. Our pursuit gets over Steve Atwater, and Richard Brothers knocked him out of bounds. It comes down 3rd down and long on their 25, and tries to throw it over the middle. And Steve Atwater's there for great interception. So a kicking game winning. Our defense turned over, and here's the first series.